Hello.
Hello.
Hey guys,
Wombat.
Yeah, that'd be me. Thanks.
You made it.
I did, and I'm not late like I thought I was going to be. So
Let's clear the air right now.
dude, I want to get over
Eddie
this.
says, I read on Twitter, Wombat and Mover were having a serious beef. Did you guys iron it out?
We did, and I just want to set the record straight right now. There's no beef. Okay. Everybody played sports at some point in their career. There's the varsity team, there's a junior varsity team, there's the scrubs. When it comes to guests on this show and influencers and people that actually have something to say, I am on the scrub list. Like I'm on the list. Like they go through they're like, we got Mace, we got all these people, right? They're great. They have impacts. They actually had a career. And they're like, damn, man, dude, we're fresh out. And we already did a week with no guests. That really bores people. Let's see what Wombat's doing. And occasionally I'm not working and here we are. So there's no beef. It's just, I'm not a good guest. That's all it is.
Deep in the bench.
Are you dipping, Gonky? What was that? Did you just
my drink,
spittoon?
The facial hair is getting in the way of my snacks now.
Did you just use a can as a spittoon?
No comment. No comment. Just kidding. So it's June 9th or 6/9, and Gonky starts off the show with my facial hair is getting in the way of my snacks. I just don't want that to go your way.
Well,
hey, why do we call him?
I wanted this to be season 6, episode 9, and we were just going to end it here.
Yeah, so then I guess tonight's the last show.
I mean, when are we ever going to have this again?
Yeah, right.
Never.
It's years before 6/9 is on a Monday again.
Somebody will chime in and tell us exactly.
Probably next year.
Ask Grok.
Yeah, it's probably
Ask
next year.
Google.
Next year. It's like
Leap
actually
year.
for the next 10 years. It's weird.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
weird. So, but thanks for having me. There's no beef. I don't know why people think there's a beef. Not yet. No,
The night is
will
young.
be by the end of the night, but there's not one going into the show. Okay, that's what I'm getting at. So, anyway.
Yeah, Hawkeye, also Wombat. Hawkeye would like to say, hey, Wombat, don't know if Gonky told you, but thank you for the inscription in the book for my dad. It was greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. And of course, Gonky didn't tell me because that did not revolve around Gonky. So therefore, he doesn't tell people. But I'm glad that worked out. Hawkeye, thanks for the support.
Well, as the number one in North Korea, Gonky is, in fact,
Dog fight, man.
I mean, like, it just is what it is, man. I gotta stop. I gotta be careful with stories that I post on Instagram because I posted that one.
Wait,
Gonky
which one?
on the ski slope.
That was
I gotta go back
hilarious.
and find it.
That was funny.
Since I'm not on the line, I don't even read the things that you post about me.
On the line.
On the line. But
That's
then
awesome.
I posted this because I thought it was hilarious. At our esteemed drill location, there is a gas station that has been converted into an urgent care.
Did people freak out and think that you were an urgent care?
Yeah, which is valid because I am sickly. But this time it was just the 24-hour urgent care across from the Chick-fil-A in Mississippi, Gulfport. Right by my.
That's awesome.
So I was like, I was fascinated by this idea that,
That is.
you have 4 tires and fuel, Sunoco fuel, and you get your COVID test and your trucking medical.
Yeah.
You're good.
And
Yeah, man.
take care of gunshot wounds.
Dude, we could even put like a bail bonds little store on the side.
You don't
of it,
even have
too.
to get out the car.
It's like,
Nope. It's a one-stop shop.
You can get your bail bonds. Right?
get your bail bond. We could bail you out of jail as cops meet you there
Yeah.
for the gunshot wound. We
Better
could
call
just- All right.
Saul's right there. Your attorney's there. Your accountant's there. Your what is it? The thing where they do the payday advance,
Yeah.
pawn shop,
Yeah, dude.
and urgent care.
Need a witness? We'll get you one.
Sounds like a
pro-
hell
let
of a
'em
drill
have it.
weekend.
Yeah, I was
Perfect,
by
that
myself because Gonky abandoned me as usual.
Well, I'm
Typical
still
leader.
in my.
Typical
Yeah.
leader.
Yeah, as the director, he failed.
Where
to
are
direct
you
me.
right now? Because
I'm in Ohio, man.
that looks too fancy for any place that would let you in, though.
Valley
He's in a-
Design, man. They let me use their
He's in a restaurant.
building.
It looks really nice.
That it's either the Valley Design or a restaurant. I'm in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What do you
Interesting.
mean? It's a Valley Design or a restaurant. What's that
no,
mean?
it's the
You
name of
don't
the
know where
company
you're at?
that lets me use this building.
Okay. All right.
Say, I don't have an office here in the Buckeye State. There's only so many square foot.
If you had Starlink, you could be doing this right now.
No, dude, no.
You could be out by the lake.
I could be fishing for bluegill, right? reeling in the panfish.
You could do this from your motorcycle.
Campsite. Yeah. As long as I stay under 100, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Or so.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Doug, how you been, man? Our esteemed cameraman.
Oh boy, the cameraman never dies.
I've
been all right.
outruns the Olympics. What is this?
Doug, I think I was telling Mover, you're like that.
What in the world? Oh, this is
it's for
okay.
later.
So I'm just clicking on buttons. I'm like, what is this?
Never
Careful
let
doing
Mover into a like you're the kid that went into
I was well, because if you look at the thumbnail, you're like, Gonky, what are you doing? And then it's Frenchie. Okay. Like it took me a minute to you with a beanie look like somebody that may go to the urgent care. Gas station urgent care.
Is it because I'm Asian?
Man.
Just kidding.
You just look tough. You look like a tough man.
This show's changed a lot since I've been on.
Well,
We've lost all our standards.
It's like
been
he's for the streets.
Yeah.
I believe it was said you lost all your standard. Not plural would imply that you had a lot
Maybe
more than you
both
did.
singular and plural.
Our lack of standards is the standard.
Yeah, we definitely got some. I mean, I don't read the comments, but we definitely did get some real hate this week, man.
Did we?
Glad I
The
don't
last
have
time,
This is the
the
only
last-
week I haven't read the comments.
What
I
did
know.
it cause? Because the last time I was on, it was the dude with the mullet and the drones, and people were very unhappy about my boomer mentality and lack of technology acceptance.
Well, we're way past that now, dude. We're
What are they mad about now?
I don't know. I can't remember, dude. One of the I can't remember is something about India or Pakistan or wow. We said something that hurt someone's feelings, but
Shocking.
Oh,
Breaking
I was
the
like-
Pakistan people? Yeah, that's fine. They're just mad in general.
yeah. So I just
Perfect. It's a good
I'm
start.
done. I'm done reading. I booted a couple and I left. I'm like, I'm done.
That what Mover just said will definitely help.
Yeah, that's going to
Yeah.
really rebuild the relationship there.
Well, if both sides are mad, I'm not
Maybe that'll
allowed
bring
to
them
fly.
together.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to fly within 3,000 miles of that area. So
No more boulevard transition for Mover. He's got to take the long way around.
The long way.
yeah.
Dude.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. Doug,
Well,
have you
cool.
been?
How's everybody doing?
Tomorrow's my birthday.
Oh,
Hey!
happy birthday, man.
I
You're
missed
one
by
day
one day. I
late.
could have been born. Yeah, I could have been born on 6/9 if I'd just known.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
that'd have
only.
changed your whole life trajectory.
And it's
The
10 years
butterfly
off too.
effect.
I'll be 59. I should be 69.
You will be one day.
Wow, look
I
at that,
believe
yeah.
that.
One hopes.
I believe
Yeah.
it's possible. We have the
It's
technology.
We
We
do.
I mean, anyway,
Oh, man.
I'm looking for the meme, Gonky. I can't find it, so I guess I just won't. I probably sent it to you, dude.
What meme?
The thing where where you were on the ski slopes with your bride on vacation.
I don't know, man. I haven't had. Listen, man. When I'm up here in the Buckeye State, I'm disconnected.
Yeah,
It's
I
kinda
guess I
weird.
didn't- I guess I didn't send it to you.
It's odd. Like I have to go. I mean, I don't mind it. It's part of my plan, but I have to go visit family to use the internet. So, my wife was
you're-
actually like, you know what? If you want to get Starlink, you can. I was like, I don't know.
Oh, now she says that
Yeah,
when it's twice as expensive.
that makes sense. But anyways,
That checks
so
out,
like
actually,
that
yeah.
checks
It's
perfectly.
not on
actually.
sale anymore.
It's
Okay,
like, yeah, perfect.
great. I'm glad.
No, but it's actually good because I mean, like literally yesterday, I was working on stuff for this show, and I was watching my kid shoot the Red Ryder, and my dad was helping him, and we were listening to banjo music, and I was just there. It was great. I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is way better than sitting at the campground by
Man.
myself. Is that bad?
Golly.
Want that?
No, it's your call sign in a nutshell. It's beautiful. I love
Is
it.
it-
I love it. And nobody knows, and that's what's beautiful about it.
Sounded like a country song.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's just cool. I don't
love it.
know. Like I was Doug, I was literally like living the dream. I'm like, it does not get any
Absolutely.
better. Does not get any better than this. Because my dad put the extra powerful spring in the Red Ryder. My son can't cock it. So I'm like typing on. He comes
Totally
over.
safe.
Yes. I taught him how to do the safety, dude. He knows the safety.
He needs to hit the gym. Give him
Yeah.
some
Six,
protein.
dude. He's
The
sick.
gun's longer than he
Creatine,
is,
dude.
man.
Get
Yeah.
him some creatine. When does he start the Gonky eggs
You
and
mean-
beef
you mean
bulking
winter-
stage? Yeah.
Winter body, summer body.
Oh my god, I still remember those days in Kingsville where like I would open up the fridge and it was just eggs and beef, and I'm like,
Yeah,
are you bulking, bro? It's like, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. I'm like, well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go out and get dinner by myself now because I don't eat.
I was
this.
telling Mover before the show, man. I went and visited a college buddy up in Cleveland last week, right the day after Tuesday, and
Know what day it is.
he said two things. He said the same thing you did. He's like, dude, because we were roommates. He's like, it was hard to live with you.
Yeah, you were not an easy roommate.
And then second thing is he's like, what are all these terms you're saying? Like, you know, how we just talk normal on the
Yeah.
show? Because I was trying to tell him about, they're asking me about
Yeah.
aviation and stuff. And I was like, all right.
All I have to say is in flight school as Gonky's roommate, I can't imagine with the way you ate I don't know how our toilets survived in that apartment at all. The way it was unbelievable the way you ate. And
When you're
I'm like,
20, dude, listen, when you're 20,
You-
it's possible.
yeah. And look at you now.
Broken.
Couldn't
I'm
squat
broken.
to save your
I can't
life.
even walk straight. I can't even walk straight, dude. So, yeah.
I can't find it, dude. I just can't find it. I've given up. It was cool.
It's
Mover,
all
how
right,
have you
man.
been?
Huh?
Yeah. How
How
have
have
you
you
been,
been?
Mover?
I don't know.
How's the new whip?
What whip?
Your top GMC, whatever,
It's great. Drives
off
itself.
road.
Goes on.
Oh.
You just let go and it does its thing. It's like autopilot. I had drill without Gonky. It was very sad. And
Thank you for the freedom you provided me this
you're welcome
Yes.
for my services.
Thank you.
Yeah, I felt a little
Um,
extra free. So was that this weekend? Maybe that's why.
Yeah, we all enjoyed our weekend of freedom.
Yeah.
You live
Thank
under
you,
the
Mover.
blanket of complaints for which I provide.
Yeah,
Dude, you know why I
Uh,
love? Look, man. Here's another plug for Kiesler and for like where we work. I literally called in just to see, because you're right. I have a job, right? So I called in and I like literally, they told me like, listen, don't worry about it. You're not on a status. We'll just figure it out when you get here. I was just like, and I was literally fishing with my son, and I was like, well,
Are
that's
you
cool.
like telling state secrets about something that's illegal, Gonky?
no,
No.
It just sounds
No.
like you're ratting somebody out, is what it is.
No.
You could get the
No,
whole
you-
place fired.
No, you know how like every time you
Well,
log on,
let's
there's
be
like no,
like Mover, Gonky's not going to get in trouble.
No, I'm gonna get in trouble.
So,
Yeah. That's
So-
all the good work that I've built up
Yeah.
in the last 2
Yeah.
years will be gone.
Yeah.
Thanks to
down the
Gonky.
drain.
Again.
Nice
So,
job,
yeah.
dude.
Yet again.
Tell us more about how you got credit for drilling without drilling, Gonky.
I didn't get credit
With
for
I'm
it
just
at all.
kidding.
No, I didn't get
Fishing.
no points, no pay.
Uh-huh.
This place is great. I don't
Yeah.
do anything.
It's such a good place because I really don't.
The
Meanwhile,
point is the people take care of you. It's like, no, we'll handle it.
remember, Gonky, all the important people watch this show.
Yeah,
You're gonna have SecDef really mad at you, sir.
won't be the first time.
Yeah,
Sorry, you're gonna have SecDef really mad at me.
There you go. Wouldn't be the
after
first
he's
time.
done chewing me out, I'd be like, hey, what
You
are
wanna
you
get
doing
on the
Monday
show?
nights? Yeah, what are you doing on Monday night? It's like,
We need some clicks.
yeah.
Well, that would.
Daddy's got to buy Starlink.
That would. We would have all of the angry people of the internet.
Yeah.
If you had SecDef on, why?
I don't think so.
Have you
dude.
read
I
our
think
comment section, dude? It's
I
hostile.
try not to.
It's
I know it's
hostile.
hostile. I
hostile.
scan it. So what I like is I like the people that comment all caps WOMBAT, but then say something really bad. So they take the time to realize it's an acronym.
They want
not
to yell
an
your
animal.
name.
Exactly. But then they say something really bad. So like I'll scroll through and just be like, nothing. Like, oh, wow. Is that what you think of me? Thanks. And then the really bad ones I send to you guys to delete. But
We
It's not
don't.
how to
We
be
never.
genius.
We never censor anyone on this channel.
okay. So what else is new?
Yeah,
I
remember?
feel
So
like
what
we
else?
just
is
need to
new?
get into the stuff because at this point we're giving away all the state secrets. Wicked
Yeah.
Spider Black says, "Hello, everybody. Wombat hi." Didn't put it in all caps.
Hey,
Failed.
Yeah.
Renee did though. Wombat,
Boom.
you're the best guest.
Renee. She
Told
gets
ya.
it.
Heat Seeker did not. Wombat, was there ever a moment as an LSO where you thought things were getting too comfortable, routine, standardization of deviance? He paid $5. Please answer.
No, 100%. And a story that I think I've told on one of your shows before was a beautiful, clear day towards the end of deployment. And we had 12 Charlies, so Legacy Hornets, coming back into the overhead. And I mean, it was calm seas, clearing a million, right? We're all proficient. And I was the team lead. And number 12,
Team
out of
leader.
nowhere, like, just suck the power off. And Gonky knows, and I know, in the Charlie, like, you can't do that. Like, you got to be on it. And it went from like everybody out there smoking and joking, life's good, to like, this dude's going to try to put it in the hangar. And it took everything we could do to scream wave off and click the button and give burner calls. And he just missed the ramp. Beautiful, clear day. And he was an awesome pilot. Like, he went on to be a skipper. I mean, he was Gonky.
I was going to say,
Like,
was it
she was-
Gonky?
No. Awesome pilot. So
Okay.
the and I mean, we were all just shocked. And it's like, it's those moments in naval aviation where you're like, whoa, like, and I think it's aviation in general. It's just things tend to be, you know, like super emphasis, like the littlest things in aviation, you put it on a ship and it just blows up, right? It's huge. So we went downstairs. I mean, I'll never forget it. That dude walked straight up to me and just hugged me, which I was like, dude, right back at you, man. I'm glad you're still here. So it does happen 100%. And that is where, from the LSO world, but I think aviation in general, it's important for aviators to like really put an emphasis on that. You know what I mean? And be like, hey, it's getting comfortable. We're good. Everything's good. And I mean, think about it. Like, one day everybody's happy. The next day your buddy's getting shot down on final because they think he's a Houthi or whatever. Like, I mean, there's all these things that you're like, that would never happen. And then all of a sudden it happens. It's not too soon. I don't think it's too soon. I think it proves the point of like that, like the unexpected and the stuff that you're like, dude, there is no way this could happen. It can happen. So yeah, 100%.
To add to lessons learned from Wombat story. So I would argue, and he probably, well, move or two to agree with me, that it's usually on the nice, beautiful, sunny, perfect days where you're just like easy, no weather, easy day. Usually like that's when it can get you because you don't focus. I always, as a mediocre at best ball flyer, I would say I was more scared on the clear, calm days than, you know, when it was at night. I mean, automatically, you know, night, a little bit sketchy weather, I'm already amped up. And that's where I needed to be all the time. So,
well, dude, and I don't think that changes now. I mean, think about it now. Like my landings now.
Yeah, same.
My best ones are on the worst days because you're so honed into it. You want to know my worst landing? Atlanta, 2-6 right on a beautiful clear day when there's guys driving around the Porsche track. If you're in the back of my plane, I'm just going to apologize right now because you are going to feel the runway come. Because, dude, it's just like, oh, this is easy. I got it. Look at them down there having fun. It's not a joke, man. It's the truth because it's just human nature in aviation
to look at the Porsche track.
When you are not,
no, just slow your scan down.
Yeah, it slows your scan. They're shiny, mover. They're shiny. Okay, but it's no kidding. It's like when it's just that thing when you know you have to be your best. You're going to step up to that in aviation. And there's so many times where you're like, oh, this should be no big deal. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like that was close, you know. So to answer your question, Heat Seeker, 100%. It's something we battled all the time.
Way more than $5 worth. Heat
there you
Seeker,
go.
So you better.
That's what I do. That's what I bring to the table. I don't like to talk money here. You know, to me, as somebody who earns no money on this show, unless you buy my books, link in the comments.
www.trmatson.com for the podcast listeners at home.
Yeah,
on the road.
But no, to answer the question, yeah. Sorry, it's been a long day already.
Offers Wombat, welcome. All is well in life for 2 hours.
Wow, thanks, Kate.
15 minutes usually, plus or minus.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kate. Dan
what is that
says,
noise in the background.
Sorry, I'm right by a highway. My bad.
Oh, nice.
Jake break.
Nice. It's the Jake.
Anyway, Dan says Viper and Legacy Hornet CF-18 in our demo jet couleurs. Did some flybys and attack demo over our waterfront last week for Armed Forces Appreciation Day. All that was missing was an E2 top side pass.
Yeah, the knife edge Hawkeye pass. That's if you
got a lot of rudders back there to make it happen.
There is a lot of rudders.
All the rudders.
Colin says Wombat is my favorite guest, hands down. Then he followed up with all caps this time. Wombat.
Nice. See, that's how I get you guys that extra $2. That's what I bring to the table.
Hawkeye says Wombat. Ooh, such a good guest that he is practically a third chair co-host. He's like a fourth chair. He's got the ready room chair behind him.
I do. That thing's awesome.
Doug, you should sit there.
That'd be awesome. Doug, you could be my Wizzo any day
back there.
You could sit there.
What, do we move a stapler?
Like a nice chair.
It's a very nice chair.
It's a very nice chair. His is the only room.
They're not
multiple chairs.
This one is. It's brand new.
It'd be a hell of a commute, though.
It would be, yeah. That wouldn't be fun.
It's only once a week, though.
Well, you have to start donating.
Well, and it's really like
it.
once every 2 months when I get invited.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Hold on now. Whoa.
Here comes
whoa,
the beef.
whoa. Whoa.
Oh, here's some beef.
No. Because I'm like, hey, Wombat, want to come on? No. I have
to work and sustain my family. I apologize.
No, I only do trips on Mondays, even though I have complete control of my schedule and can do them whenever I want, and we'll tell you about it every time I talk to you. But Mondays,
I'm just trying to help you learn my life a little bit because you care.
I do care.
You don't care. You don't care. You don't.
I do care. I found a Porsche in my couch cushions today.
Let's not bring up the Porsche right now, right? It's a sore subject. I miss her. I showed you pictures of me sweeping out my garage floor because there's nothing in there. I don't do well without a car.
He was in a thong, ladies and gentlemen, sweeping his garage floor.
Backwards.
And that's how you know there's no beef, because I have that picture.
Boy.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure my mom is really appreciating this conversation right now. She listens.
We're off
She's
the
like,
rails.
My mother, who brought me into this world, is like, I don't even want to visualize that crap right now. That's a base.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Hi, Mrs. Wombat. Sorry. Aaron Z says, I could land a spray plane dead center on a 20-foot wide gravel road, but I'll land 20 feet left of center on a 150-foot wide runway. You have to do that for your wingman. You have to alternate sides.
I don't think that's how that works. And
I mean, what he's saying is if you you really got to focus to land on the road, right?
100%.
Then like with the big runway, it's like, I'll put it down wherever. And then it doesn't turn out so well.
And you're like, thank God that was a big runway.
Yeah, exactly.
Used every foot of it.
I always fly best after it's been like a long break.
Again,
I don't know
it's
why.
the same reason. It's the same reason.
Because everything is like hyper aware, and I'm like, damn, I'm good at this. And then like the 15th sortie that month, I'm like, why am I so terrible?
Yeah, because you care lesser. That is what it's. I mean, literally, I picked up that trip. I told you guys I flew with your boy Spike today.
No, you told me.
And I picked it up on purpose because I have a line check tomorrow morning, and I'm like, I need to just make sure I could still do this. Not too much. I still want to have,
as long as it's not on 26 right near the Porsche factory.
Well, no, we're going to Boston tomorrow. So
when you come back, I hope you don't.
It's only one leg. It's only one leg. If it's a 2-leg line check, the first leg went horribly wrong. So I might need some of this super chat money if that's the case. So.
Hey man, we'll bring you on.
Sweet. I'll have tons of time if I don't pass my check ride tomorrow.
Trouble Actual says, worst complacency happens every branch, like Afghanistan when U.S. idiots sent GPS signals from their exercise watch and got rocket shot at us. Oddly specific.
Also does not surprise me in the least that something like that would happen.
Yeah, like GPS errors, I mean, they happen, like human inflicted.
What does that mean, though? Sent GPS signals from their exercise watch. Did they get a watch, too, that Gonky didn't get?
Yeah, I didn't get a watch. I'm still angry about that. I have no idea what time it is. Why they didn't issue.
You are timeless. You're just a
You
that
are.
good?
I mean,
Is
you
that
live
like
off
being-
the grid. I'm
is that
surprised you made it here, dude. You're
is that like
perfect for
infamous?
being #1 in North Korea because they don't have watches, they don't have any internet, or they don't read the comments for sure because there's no bad comments in North Korea.
There's
Because
no bad
North
comments.
Korea is #1 Korea. I hope he shows up today, dude. I hope he shows up.
man.
It's
Dude, he's a
usually
funny
towards
dude.
the end, probably because of the time zones.
Or the dial-up.
Yeah, or however long it takes him to VPN 6 times.
Right,
But
right, dude.
well, he's the leader of the North Korean.
He's got to like Starlink it through to get.
He's got to get his people on it. So
That's funny, dude.
you're his.
Didn't they
rocket
just
man.
sink one of his boats by accident on launch?
He flipped it. Nah, it flipped.
It
just
didn't
flipped.
sink.
That was
I
by
mean, it may have-
design.
A little
It was
bit.
by
yeah.
design.
Everything
Yeah, you
is
gotta-
planned and executed perfectly. And
That's why they love you there, Gonky.
in our
'Cause-
country, in the
In our
country.
Oh, so much for that security clearance you used to have.
Man. That's awesome. It's
Capstar says if Wizzo is Wizzo, Wombat makes LSO Lizzo.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I've been called worse.
His milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
That is a fact. That is true.
Mhm.
That is true.
I think that's a different singer anyway, but
I think it
you
is
know, I
too.
tried.
But you just
I tried.
totally.
I tried. It
totally
worked.
just
It worked.
overshot
Look, it made him laugh.
I know what you're trying to do.
Yeah. It was. Hey,
Man.
we should do a topic.
No.
Wait.
Let's
before
just do
you
this
that-
for 2 hours. I bet this would be awesome.
Wait.
That's probably what we should do.
Yeah.
Uber.
let's just
We
do
gotta-
this.
Oh, right. I already did that, but see, you drive, Gonky. Go.
Well, it's
What's
been
going
a year,
on?
man. It's been a weird year, man, since Frenchie. Yeah. So Frenchie's on the right, I'm on the left. That was taken like kind of when we first met, when he lived in California when I first met him. Good friend of me and Mover, and a huge fan of the channel. Anything fighter. He was F4 Phantom Wizzo back in the 80s in the Air Force, and he's just an awesome dude, man. He's an awesome dad, big family man, you know, wife, kids. I mean, every time I went over to his house, like, you know, he had family over. And of course, the last couple of years of his life, he ended up moving to just outside of Eglin. So it's kind of cool. I got to see him more than I would if he lived out in Cali. And yeah, he passed of cancer, man, a year ago. Yeah, he was at Mover and I's Finney flight there that we did together in the T-38. So I can't believe, dude, it's been an entire year. Like, I mean, I mentioned it before the show and you said time flies, and it really does, dude. I can't believe it's been a year since Frenchie's been gone, but I still think about him, and you know, his memory is not gone. And I just wanted to have him on the show. That's one of my regrets, actually, man, is we never had him on. I know we tried to there towards the end, but he was just too weak. So shoulda, woulda, coulda. But yeah, Frenchie, I know you're in heaven, dude. Still thinking about you, pal. I just wanted
Yeah,
to-
Frenchie was cool. He
Frenchie.
got me this.
Yeah, dude. I've got
Such a good
I've
dude.
got
He's such a good dude.
got a Hornet version. The guy, dude, he just I hadn't bought like a motocross helmet in like years because he would just get them, like, because he had connections. He's just an awesome dude, man. Just
He was
loves
was real cool.
aviation, fighter aviation. Yeah.
So,
I bet you
dude,
being an F4
cancer
was
sucks.
an adventure.
Oh, dude,
Oh,
back
I
in
can
the
only
80s.
imagine, dude.
Yeah, in the
Like,
80s.
That's back
I
when
mean,
like Wizzo's actually had a job, right? Like,
Funny,
I
I
wouldn't
always,
even call them. Were they called Wizzos? Because like they
He's
were
a
Rios
Rio.
in
He's a
Combat.
Rio.
Was it Rios in the?
He's a
okay.
Rio.
Air Force, he was a Wizzo.
was he a Wizzo in the 80s?
Yeah, that was a Navy thing.
Really?
I'm pretty sure he's a Wizzo because the Air Force called him Wizzos way back then too.
You know,
Really?
dude, of course, I'd always make fun of him for being
Bully? Yeah, you? Of course.
But I'd ask him questions about the Phantom all the time. He's like, I'm like,
In a
how'd you-
sarcastic tone, condescending,
No, I mean, sometimes. Okay, most of the time.
stealing
But
his lunch
anyways,
money.
Yeah,
Go
but, like,
on.
he give me
This
these
is
super
going
vague-
great.
He give me these vague answers. I'm like, Frenchie, I'm like, how can you not? You're the one responsible for this, right? But I mean, he would dish it right back, dude. I mean,
Dude,
yeah.
he had, we went to his house to hang out and he was such a good dude, but he had the most awesome like man cave with like the model aircraft and stuff. Like he was just an aviation enthusiast.
Yeah.
He loved flying. He loved just,
That's cool.
you know, all things military aviation, just a good,
Yeah, and he
I
had
mean,
connections too, man. Yeah, like movers. You go into his little little man cave, man. He had all these little things that people had given him. I mean, I
had some
gave him a ready
Tomcat
room
stuff.
chair.
He had,
Yeah, 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 exactly. Just
Yeah.
I mean, the coolest stuff, man. It's
Yeah, we tried. By the time this show was off the ground, he was too weak to, because we wanted to, and he didn't want to, because he was just that like humble, right? He's like, oh, I just like listening, I don't really like. One of the good
I
ones.
think if we would have started the show earlier, I think he would have done it. But it's just sad, man, because it's like all the interviews, Mover, that you've done. I mean, those stories are like, unless they get told and recorded, they're lost forever, and that's just kind of how I feel sometimes with guys like him, man, who had stories that I'm sure he told, but were never recorded. Now they're lost forever. And that's sad to me.
Yeah. It's a bummer.
But yeah.
All right. Well, nickel on the grass for old Frenchie.
Yeah, man.
In other news, J36 has new pictures.
Yes.
Douglas, roll the tape. Double click.
Oh,
Translate
God.
post.
Enhanced. Yeah, I tried to translate. It wouldn't let me, man.
Are we looking at the front or the back?
That thing looks angry. Dual HUDs, side by side
angry.
seating,
I'd be
truck
angry too
gear,
if I had
the intake that will 1000% fod you out if you jump out. Like you are going straight down that intake.
Look at the main gear.
Yeah, dude, there's no way there's anything much fighter about that airplane.
Wombat, we talked about this and you weren't here because you hate us.
Yeah. Or maybe I'm just so humble and just want to listen. Did you ever think of that? No, you didn't.
No,
So
I never thought
I'm
of
glad
that.
you
But now's your time, dude.
At no
Now's your
point
time.
did I ever think that for you.
Thank you.
Could you land that on a carrier?
Pleasure. Well, you can land anything on a carrier once. So
No, there's AI in it to land on the carrier, and it's got spoilers. We looked at one shot where it's got the spoilers, speed brakes like the EA6
Prowler. Yeah.
Prowler.
Oh, good. Because so they've learned from us on that. They're like, that looks super easy to land on a ship. So let's.
Well, dude, so
that.
they apparently they're doing some mods to try to get it carrier capable. But like we were talking last time, it's pretty
AI.
I mean, how wide was the Hawkeye again? Like
80 foot wide,
and what was the slop for center line for landing?
2.5 feet, 85 foot landing
That's
area.
what I'm saying. So like this thing is pushing that, man. I mean, that would
It's
be.
got it. That was my first question. I'm like, you're gonna put that thing on an aircraft carrier? Like, what's the wingspan?
We looked it up last time.
Yeah. It's close.
24 meters. Now I have to do the math because we're in.
Could you
Hold
do that in
on.
freedom units, please?
It's
Hold
more
on.
than 25 feet.
78 feet.
Yeah.
But
Now,
the
one
Chinese
advantage-
carrier is wider.
Is it?
Yeah.
But is the landing area wider?
Yeah, the LA.
Because it doesn't matter how wide the carrier is; it matters how wide where
LA
they park
is.
planes. Now, one advantage that would have over a Hawkeye is it doesn't have P factor, right? So, I mean, but still,
It's got 3 engines. It's got all the center line thrusties.
I mean, I'll tell you, man. Like, so if it's 78 and you assume same width as our carrier landing area, I mean, I don't know, Gonky, what do you think? You flew smaller jets on the ship. Like, dude, that's still not much.
No,
Side to side.
it's not impossible, but I don't think it's ideal. And then I was just thinking,
Are they angled deck carriers as well?
their new one is.
It
that's
is
another factor.
1,000 feet, 8 inches long, 246 feet, 1 inch in beam.
That's wide.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't say how wide the landing area is.
Landing areas, yeah. Because I mean, those are similar to an American carrier.
I wonder, man, if they try to bring it aboard the carrier, like when it's flying angle of attack behind the ship, I wonder what that does to the airflow into that intake, right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. To me, it does not look like a high angle of attack aircraft based on that, because your nose is going to blank out.
Right.
Yeah. Like, so.
Well, how do you get it back off? Because that thing is massive. Like, shot on that is going to be.
Well, it depends on what they like. I don't know what they're using. I don't, in my spare time, which is nil, I don't study Chinese aircraft carriers. But like Dude, you put enough steam if you use that or the electromagnetics. I mean, I don't know if they'd have a problem getting it off the end.
Yeah.
It's the logistics getting it back. I mean,
it's got the nose gear, right? It's got the dual nose
99,000 to 120,000 pounds.
That's a There's no fighter that weighs that much.
There's no fight. That's not a fighter. That's something you put in front of the base so it looks cool as you drive in the front gate.
It's a striker.
It makes movies. It's a bomber.
Yeah, that dude. So I take back my comment. I mean, at 100,000 pounds, trying to launch that off a catapult, unless they have technology that we don't, that is. I mean, what did we?
They'll use a rail gun to launch it right off into the.
They'll just add rubber bands to it. Come on.
Yeah, it'll sit there, and the nose gear will go for a flight while the rest of it's just sitting there. Just
the plane will sit still, and the carrier will go back.
It'll be like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. To me, it looks like a land-based heavy.
Yeah,
strike aircraft, like
a
big Strike Eagle
or a big interceptor. Yeah, big interceptor.
Yeah.
Well, dude, it almost, and I mean, there's no comparison in that photo, but it almost looks like a poor B-1 comparison. You know what I mean?
Looks like a B-21 to me.
Okay, so it just doesn't. I agree. I see no fighter, and I don't know enough about it. But was this something that the idea was not carrier based from the start, correct? The idea was the plane, and then they came up with the idea to put on a carrier. Yeah, okay, that makes sense because that just doesn't.
Yeah,
they were talking about sweep.
Yeah,
the hang up for me is they labeled it J-36, which if it was bomber would be H, but I mean, I don't know there is a place, like I said, for a heavy long range air to air. Yeah, I mean, even the J-20, right? The Mighty Dragon, that's a big fighter, dude. But that thing can maneuver, even though it's
canards.
Yeah, it's a big fighter. But I mean, WOMBAT, dude, the Hornet's great, but it just doesn't have
Period. Just stop right there. Period. The Hornet is great.
It is great, but to do any kind of long range type air to air, if you don't have tanker support, I mean, it's gas becomes an issue.
But that's not what the Navy was designed for. That's
I know, but what I'm saying when I'm thinking about China, right?
Sure.
I mean, they can launch this thing from land bases and project force out over the water quite a ways.
Correct.
But what do I know, dude? I'm just a guy drinking a Celsius. So
dude, this thing looks like you could taxi around with the canopy, push back, just hang out. You know what I mean? It looks like it's sliding canopy.
Do we know if the wings do anything? Do
they
sweep?
fold?
Yeah, do they fold? Because there's no way you're going to taxi that thing around. I mean, because you got to remember, a Hawkeye is 80 foot wide, but what's the first thing we did? Fold those big wings. I mean, you would never, dude. I'll tell you right now, the air boss and the handler, if you're hey man, the wings are stuck, they'd just be drive it off the side. Sorry, it does no good to us. There's nowhere to put it. So I don't know.
It's got two HUDs. That's good.
Yeah, for when the first one fails.
Yeah, so that means two pilots.
Or a Wizzo or whatever they call them.
They don't need a HUD.
Well, maybe in Mother China they do.
Gonky, I would say probably not, but no fighter is really side by side seating.
No.
That's rule number one. If you have to have an extra person, they better sit in the back and can't see them.
I would argue no fighter is side by side or front and back seating. It's just one.
Listen, I'm making concessions here because of the Wizzo. It's very sensitive because it's anniversary and everything. So I don't want to get too high and right on this. But if you have to have
that was back when they needed them, dude.
They have to sit behind you.
I didn't know Frenchie.
They can't sit next to you.
He fought in a plane that actually needed that person.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
I would never crap on
fat. This thing is morbidly obese. This, I mean, if we're gonna say Fat Amy is a big girl, this thing is your Lizzo. That's Lizzo right there. That's your J-36 Lizzo.
Cool. Yeah, it's not a very athletic looking machine.
No,
it's built. It's built for comfort.
She's a comfortable ride. Let's just put it
It's
in
not
that.
built for performance.
She's
It's
like a
built-
moped. All right. She's
Yeah,
comfortable.
it's-
You just don't want your friends to see on her.
it's-
That's all.
It's closing time, and that's what you
It's
have.
closing.
This is it right here. That's like
Oh boy,
you're at the end of the drop, and it's like, okay,
what's
You
left?
could either
at
be a
least it's
Chinese
got it-
fape
yeah,
or
Yeah. Chinese vape or the Chinese version of it. It's like if they
Vape.
called this the F-36. You know, it'd be like, oh, at least it's got an F in it. It's a fighter, you know, but still.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, we're gonna find out.
You know what? It's beautiful. I love it. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I
it's
just-
great.
Great
It's
job.
great.
Just can't. It's a gift that
Yeah.
keeps on giving.
I mean,
Thank you.
amazing job.
Yeah,
Really great
really.
design.
Beautiful.
Um,
Love it. It's flying. And
Fine, yeah.
yeah, can't wait. Just good job, guys. Keep on keeping on. Barry the Bald Eagle. I'm new to the channel, but do you guys fly missions on DCS together? Appreciate you all service. Gonky. Do we?
Mover and I have flown missions against one another, 1v1, and we're not very good. But those are the only.
hold on a second. Hold on.
I'm
a
not.
second.
I'm sorry.
Hold-
I'm not
yeah,
very-
don't. Mover's just fine in DCS.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
terrible.
fine in real life, you know, and this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
it's a
So-
simulation, Gonky.
Yeah.
I said. I said
It accurately
Yes.
simulates how things go.
the S means simulation, sir. I didn't say DCG. You know, game.
Oh,
Oh.
oh.
Anyway,
It's not a game, dude. Simulation. So, yeah.
Have you guys done
DCS
Mover? Do you
is
do
fun,
it?
dude.
Do you do a lot of DCS still or no?
Yes.
I know
Define
you're
a
busy. Don't
lot.
you lie.
No.
More than I do, that's for sure.
Well, yeah. If I'm comparing it to you, then yes.
You do a lot.
If
Okay.
I'm comparing it to a normal DCS player, then no.
Oh, okay.
If I'm comparing it to Gonky, then yes.
Okay.
Way yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Doug, I think probably no, but Doug's hit or miss, right, Doug?
Yeah, I've been off of it for a while, but I've been
Yeah.
thinking we should get back.
Barry, if I fly in DCS, I have to go borrow a system. What do you call it? A computer.
Which is one step
What do you
above
call
me.
it? A computer?
I was gonna say system, but I'm like,
Dude, you are set for North Korea. God. Okay.
Moving on.
Well, we will though, right? Because you figured it out and we can do it again.
yeah, I'm working on it. Got it.
Kate says, Gonky, you could record his stories, then not lost.
Sure.
We
If
could,
you
yeah.
remember some of this.
Yeah, that's tough.
It
That's
is.
tough.
Because it's
That's
never
tough.
going to be as good
Somebody
as coming
else's
from the
story,
source.
and it's that's tough. That's a hard one because you can't verify anything. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying that would be
Yeah.
that'd be a tough one.
Yeah.
That'd be hard to do. Stephen Billings, Air Godzilla, mortal enemy to North Korea.
That's
Did you see the live stream yesterday when a guy got on the hard stanging at Heathrow? He did get caught after a fall. I saw something about that, about the dude running from the police.
at the airport.
Really?
Yeah, Heathrow.
I didn't see that. He got on a like a stand.
Yeah, I don't know if he got on the hard stand, but he ran and they caught him and then issued him a strongly worded letter.
They may have
As a,
like
Billy, you think
rap
they
him
Billy
and-
clubbed him?
They may have like across the knuckles, like Catholic school. I mean, they didn't shoot him, obviously.
Now we're getting into Wombat's fantasies.
No.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry.
Oh,
Trust me, they are not.
Right off the rails again.
Here we go
No.
again. Oh,
Trust me.
no.
My mom knows that I did not enjoy Catholic school at all.
Manuel Grail, I hope, says, looks like a character from a Pixar movie talking about the J-36.
Yeah, I could see that.
It just, I don't know.
And Hawkeye says, J-36, the new buff, right? Big, ugly, fat.
I think the B-52 looks a lot better than that thing.
You think so, man?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, China's mad at me. Somebody, they're throttling my internet.
I can see that, dude.
They are.
See
Start
that?
saying nice things. Start
I
saying
love
nice
China.
things.
China number one.
We love you, China.
We love J-36 is best. His best 36. There,
Best
see, we're back.
fighter and bomber.
And now we're back. And now it's working again. Andy Joyhill says normal DCS player is an oxymoron.
That's probably true.
The comments on that one. Whew.
Yeah.
RJASE5 with an OnlyFans tail says, aren't they making the J35 carrier capable? J36. J35. Oh, wait, no.
And the J35.
And the J35, yes. But that one is like, it makes sense because it's
more.
but I don't think its wings fold.
We haven't seen any pictures.
Mm-mm.
We have not
It's
seen
two
any
engines.
pictures.
That's
though,
a
which
hard.
makes it-
I mean, design wise, I can't imagine folding wings is an easy thing.
No, they either do or they
Two.
don't, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they all do at some point, but
Well, that's
True.
it's to be able to unfold again after is the key, right? It's the folding's not the hard part, but
See, if Frenchie was here, I'd ask him, can Air Force Phantoms fold their wings?
I
I
bet
don't know.
they
Could they?
could.
Because the Navy
I'm
used
sure
F-4s.
somebody in there.
I bet they could.
I'm
But then
90
again, what about the F-35? Can the
99%
No.
sure Phantoms could fold their wings. They
All
fold
of
yeah,
them, Doug?
see,
right
Air
at the
Force.
I don't know about the Air Force, but they fold. You know how they've got that little piece at the end?
just
that
the tip at the
folds
end,
right
yeah.
there. Yeah.
No, that's what we're talking about. Is can the Air Force version?
Oh.
Yes.
See, because
Air
so
Force One.
I thought they could. They just
Gotcha.
probably didn't very much. Because why would you?
Right.
I mean, right?
F-35
Like, you
is-
don't.
The
Well,
Navy
like-
F-35 has a different wing.
Didn't the Swiss Hornet get a different wing?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you're right. They don't fold.
Yeah.
I don't think they fold. No.
Peter Mach says, you guys watched the stream of Dos Gringos this past weekend, and would you ever have them on? Great show, guys. Great to watch. Dude, I thought they were coming on. Like,
No.
I thought they were going to come
Do you
on.
know them?
I know a
like,
guy who knows a
personally?
guy, and he's like,
Oh.
hey, you know, can you announce this? I'm like, yeah, sure. Can we get him on the show? Oh, yeah, sure.
No.
Not yet. I'm holding out.
They went
hope.
on. They went on Afterburn, right?
Right,
Puns?
exactly. We're not yet at that level of coolness
No.
to be able to live stream stuff. Plus, that probably would have involved travel.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
Yeah. There's no way you guys could figure out how to travel for free. That'd be hard.
No, I
Yeah,
can't.
that's
I
a good
can't
point.
travel right now. I'm on.
Oh no, you physically can travel. You're
Not-
not like under
not
lock
for
and key.
Not for free. I'd have to drive.
Well, you have a car that drives itself now, so win-win.
Mostly.
I think-
Sometimes it tries to kill me.
Yeah,
It's like driving with a teenager, really. Like it makes some weird decisions, and it likes the brakes a lot. Whitey Shark Michael, did you guys cover the F-16 downing to the Su-35? Well, that's a great segue. Glad you
Yeah.
brought it up because Ukrainian F-16 allegedly shoots
Ooh, I
down
love the
Russian
alleged
Su-35. Well,
We have to say it, dude.
First
No,
of
I
all,
love
dude,
it.
Why did
I
you
love
hold
it.
on, man? Let me fix this
What
I
happened?
love it.
before people get triggered.
Well,
It is
yeah,
little U Su-35. It's not SU. It's Su-35. So anyway, allegedly, because something came out yesterday, and all the mill bloggers are like, "Well, it was an S-400 that shot it down." So the prevailing
That's definitely
story is F-16. That's it. That's. Do you have the
I
video,
liked
Doug?
that tweet. It was to the
Yeah.
point. and
Yeah.
simple.
But the prevailing story, there's video of the wreckage. So they were picked up by the Russian forces in the area, which that plane is largely intact.
right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that does not look
Right.
like much of a shoot down. That
So
looks
the
like a
story is that the new, I don't know if Doug, if you have one of the articles with the story, but from
Go look.
memory, the F-16 was doing some kind of strike mission, and they were working with the Saab 340 early warning
AWACS.
I guess AWACS, that they call
Yeah.
it AEW, that was data linking and giving them the air picture, much like Wombat might in the Hawkeye. And it's got
nerds in the
props.
back.
It's got props too, like the
Nothing
Hawkeye.
wrong with props.
And it gave them like everything's in metric, but like a 200-mile look when the Su-35 took off, and it ended up shooting an AMRAAM at them and killing them. Well, killing the aircraft. They actually jumped out, so they survived. There you go.
So that
AEW and C, airborne warning and control, platform assisted kill, vectoring the F-16 to a point within tracking range. But then, of course, you know, the F-16 did its thing. It's the Dutch F-16 Alpha Mike. And scroll down, you can see the Saab 340, what it looks like. It's wild. Instead of a UFO, it just has like a glyph,
like a 2x4.
Yeah, it's like here's your.
It's carrying.
It looks like it's carrying some wood from Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
They just painted it. But anyway, that's gonna really piss some people off for sure.
I was gonna say.
They're gonna be like, "This guy's an idiot." Of course I am. But obviously, it would be the first air-to-air kill from the Viper in this theater if true. But again, some other mill bloggers came out and said, "Nah, it was the S-400 that shot it down like as soon as it got airborne," which also makes sense because you know the range of a double-digit SAM out there is pretty lengthy. But fellas, what do y'all think? What's your take? That's all the information I have at this time.
I want to believe if I ever shot an AMRAAM at something, it would look worse than that plane looked. That plane did not look bad at all.
No, I mean, think about it. It's a proximity with a little shotgun blast, and that's a big airplane. So, I mean, one shot, it prox fuses on it. You know, the little warhead goes off, takes out parts of it around the intake area, fods out the motor, takes out hides or whatever.
Yeah, but then you punch and it goes in and explodes. It looks almost like they glided it in.
Well,
you know what I mean? From
flamed out and they were in a controlled ejection. You know, I mean,
I don't know. I just that one last shot of it with the helicopter, like you see the top, and I'm like, that doesn't look like it's a.
Well, that's because like from the bottom, you know. It's like,
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't.
Yeah, Wombat, I'm with you. So when I first saw the footage of it on the ground, I thought, like it's not like I've seen every single crash site that has resulted from a shoot down, but
sure,
most of them come down at a different angle or the thing's blown in two pieces or whatever. I thought that was pretty intact to be a shoot down. And then Mover, you could help me out with this, but those Dutch F-16s, I mean, it's mech scan radar, right?
Yeah. Doug, go back to the picture. Just freeze it on the ground if you could when you get a chance.
It's hard for me to, I mean, the Su-35 is, you know, a capable airplane, and it's just hard for me to, I'm not saying it's impossible because obviously the Ukrainians have become really crafty in their tactics, as we talked about last week with that crazy drone strike they did. But it's a little bit weird to me that like the Su-35 like wouldn't know that because I mean, dude, to shoot an AMRAAM, you got to get so close to them, right? You know?
Yeah. Well, it's
very weird
close
to me.
To Russian territory.
Right, but it's just it's odd to me that an F-16 could get close enough to a Su-35 AIM 120-ish range, whatever that is, without the Su-35 even knowing. Like,
correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for one, I'm pretty sure the Su-35 has AESA, and then also I'm pretty sure he's probably getting some sort of GCI stuff going on, and the F-16 is not exactly stealthy. I'm not saying the Ukrainians didn't do it. I just have questions in my head.
Yeah, I just have questions.
Tactics can overcome all these questions I have, but that's the thoughts that go through my mind as a fighter pilot.
So here's the question I have, and this is why I had Doug bring this up. Your points are all valid. However, I think any given Sunday, anything can happen. You know, I mean, dude, you don't turn same way we shot down our own Hornet in the stack, right? You're not
allegedly.
Yeah. No, I think it's pretty valid. But go back, stop right here. What do you not see?
You don't see a skid mark. You don't see any burning. It looks like they just placed it there.
It looks like a vertical, like you did a flat spin all the way down. But if you did a flat spin all the way down, it wouldn't be this intact.
Yeah, it literally looks like they craned it and put it there.
This only makes sense to me if they if the carcass of the aircraft glided and then landed and then skidded to a stop here. This without an impact pattern or anything makes no sense to me. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying they craned it in. I'm just saying like it does.
How did
not
this
compute.
happen?
Like how did it get to this position without any kind of marks in the? Because that looks like soft ground. You know that looks like you would have some kind of markings as it flew into wherever it landed.
Dude, there's no fire.
There he is. It's
Maybe,
smoke.
maybe
no,
it just,
I mean,
maybe
there's
it just
not, like-
ran out of fuel, and that was the story they pitched.
There's no.
well, it still would have. It would still have imprints of it. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't. This looks like a 0 knot vertical.
soft touchdown.
Yeah,
And then
like a hover.
only the airplane burned, dude. Because what I'm saying, like, if it crashed with
around it,
fuel on
yeah.
board, the
All
fuel
that
would swa-
green.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, an airplane crash
Yeah.
site is, pretty
it-
catastrophic.
I mean,
This-
if we learned anything from Top Gun Maverick when Phoenix took the birds, that plane. I mean,
Well, and
beautiful
back up,
scene.
back
right?
up. Hold on a second. Back up a second. Right where you see the other helicopter across the circle. What is that?
What is what?
What is that? Is that a Ka-52 or something? Ka-50? What kind of helicopter is that?
It's one with 0 glide ratio.
I mean,
that's all
the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's a Black Hawk. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why is there a Black Hawk
It
in
looks like
Russia?
a black shark.
Is that a black shark? It's hard to tell. It's so pixelated. But
I can't tell, man.
I mean,
That long nose.
so obviously this is if that is a black shark, then this is a Russian video, which also raises some questions, right? The information protection of them not wanting to be embarrassed and save face and stuff. This is not something they would put out. This is something that they would kind of cover up a little bit, I think, on the Russian side, because this looks like it's the Russian, rescue team, the CSAR team. I'm interested in how it got to that position without any kind of markings except for where it ended up.
There's
But
a little bit of marking right there, but not enough.
Not
No, that looks
it's-
like the engines, man. We're just kind of sitting
Yeah.
back there.
not
running,
120
yeah.
knots worth of,
No,
130
you're
or
right.
whatever, even if you stalled it in, you're still talking 100, 110. I mean, dude, that's going to
Yeah.
make a few
Yeah.
thousand
Yeah.
feet.
Oh yeah, or even 100 feet. Dude, I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah.
It's going to
unless-
be longer than the length of the plane, which is what that.
yeah. The jet's 70 feet long, and there's not even. I mean,
I don't know. I want to believe that the Viper did it because I love the F-16 and I want it to do good work out there. I think, to answer your question, Gonky, any given Sunday, that it could be the perfect storm. I don't
Right.
think it's out of the realm of possibility that it happened. If it is an S-400, though, I have the same questions. If it is the
Right,
double digit
right.
SAM, is like, where's the this? How did it get here, and where's the pattern of putting it here?
dude, if it's a double digit SAM, I would argue that thing should be like in many pieces.
Yeah.
Again,
what I'm
if
saying?
it depends on if it impact or procs, right? Because it could have been
Yeah, I don't know, dude. A double digit SAM, even with procs, that thing would
Yeah.
be torn apart.
if it's if it procs is close enough but not an actual hit, you know what I mean? Like,
And do they
As
just
it's
shoot
flying
one
by.
at you? Like
Well,
what are the
but-
tactics? Do they
but I
shoot
mean,
2 or
if it-
3, 4 at you?
if it did a procs and it ripped through the systems, my point is that plane's not going to come to rest like that.
Right.
It's gonna lose control and tear up.
Fireball.
It may not tear up airborne, but it's certainly going to go in the ground hard.
But we have
that looks
seen-
smoother than most of my landings.
but we have
Right.
seen video of Su-30s, Su-35s getting shot down in a flat spin. Like, that seems to be when they lose control, they go into this flat spin. So maybe the thing is just super robust and it landed vertically, and that's what you got. And we don't see the hidden damage because it's in, heavy greenery, that was soft enough to not completely break it
Yeah,
apart.
but the tail is still vertical. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
I
if
mean,
you
dude,
pancake,
that's-
that's, I don't know.
Like all outcomes are possible.
This
I
is
just-
a blurry
I just-
video.
There's just
Yeah,
things that I have questions about that I have not been explained to me.
Yeah. Tall
Correct.
grass, it's not,
One Piece.
I mean, look how tall that grass is compared to the cockpit. That had to be a
Su-30s,
vertical impact.
Yeah. Yeah, man, because the Su-30 sits, I mean, the cockpit is probably
go.
12 feet up.
There you go.
Yeah.
It burned. It burned after it hit.
Yeah. But look, the airplane's intact.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it landed vertically.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
It says it flew into an ambush and was shot down. He didn't know he was flying into a trap.
That's
I-
breaking news.
Okay. I mean, again, dude, I mean, I just don't. You get an F-16 into the range where it can shoot down a Su-35. I have a hard time believing. I mean, it's possible, but I have a hard time believing like the Su-30 pilot crew, whatever. Wouldn't
You know,
at
I
least.
mean, some things, dude, people can be incompetent.
No, dude, trust me. I've been there.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
how
I
many
get
times
it.
have we seen superior aircraft get shot down by aircraft? You're like, how did you do that?
Yeah, yeah. How'd you get shot by the F5 again? It's like,
I love how you said
Well.
F5. Yeah.
it's like, well,
Foreshadowing.
there I was.
Yeah.
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 I don't know, man. That more questions than
Yeah.
answers. But hey, if it's real, awesome.
I mean, I don't even know how you'd fake it. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I don't, they would have to be CGI if you faked it. I mean, that would
Well,
be
dude,
the only.
The only thing I can think of is that's just some old Russian footage somebody found of some weird, obscure accident that happened, and they're just putting it out there as.
But still, okay, if it's an obscure accident, how did it get there? Like, it's the same question whether it's shot down, runs out of fuel, or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Their version of the CH-53 was carrying it, and the cable's broken. It just pancaked into the. I don't know.
I think it got hit, flat spin. They jumped out, and it just landed vertically. We'll see. We'll see. We'll never know the truth in this.
I think if we knew anything, that with this war, we will 100% know the truth, because it is a truth war, tried and true. There's never been any propaganda. Yeah. So.
Oh, is this a better video? That's a high.
It's about 8 pixels better.
It's better.
Yeah. So whatever it did, it landed vertically.
You just it's like somebody just said it.
Well, dude, that's what they do when they get shot. They flat spin.
Dude, I don't. Well, all right.
It was deep in Russian territory.
This is from the Kiev Insider, so I take it. I would say the same thing if this is from like the Moscow Insider. I take this all with a grain of salt. It's like, dude. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I'm sad both sides are still shooting one another, but if a Viper got a kill on a Su-35, that's awesome. The Su-35 is a mean machine.
As the Dos Gringos once said, all you effers wish you flew the Viper.
Yeah,
I want to believe.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of planes that I'm like, man, it would have been cool to get a flight in. The Viper.
My Viper is one of them for me.
It'd be cool just for the G's, I think. Like,
I want to fly in every 4th gen jet, dude. I think 4th gen jets are awesome because I'm old.
Yeah.
Vinay Kumar says, I saw a documentary in which Concorde pilots talked about how much they hated deadheading back to London Heathrow in subsonic planes. Those poor pilots had to endure 6 hours of first class. Question incoming. Oh,
yeah, it's horrible.
Is there a city pair that you guys flew in fast jets back in the day that you now fly in an airliner and feels achingly slow? How long would Hawaii to San Diego take in an F-16 or 18?
All the way to the crash site if you don't have fuel.
It's funny. So. It's funny you mentioned that. So I'm reading this book. Andy Weir, great guy. I mean, he's super smart, smarter than me. Very technical sci-fi, science fiction stuff. He wrote The Martian, which was a wildly popular book. Knows more about writing than I'll ever know, especially, very popular books. But one of the things, the technical details he got horribly wrong is he talks about the character, one of the characters, the government needs him somewhere, right? So how do they get him there? Well, they helicopter him to an airport and then pick him up in a jet, a fighter, and fly him to Hawaii. And I'm like, there is no circumstance where that is the right answer, because what most people don't know is that, yes, we can fly twice the speed of sound, but you can't do it and keep all the gas. You run out very quickly. So really, when we're trying to go somewhere, we're flying the same speeds as everybody else, 300 knots, 0.73 Mach, 75 Mach.
Yeah, I don't. You have to fly faster now.
And if you're going across the pond to Hawaii, for example, because I've done it. I don't know. You guys done that trip? I've done Hawaii to Dallas. It took 7.5 hours and 45 minutes because
we brought our runways with us. We didn't have to do that.
We have to refuel. You have to keep topping off, and and you can only fly refueling speed 310 knots. So, I mean, it's not fast at all when you're flying cross country in a fighter. Now, I have done the hey, how fast are you going? Mach 0.99 across the Gulf, because I was trying to get home and I had plenty of gas to do it. So I would say if there's a route that I've done, it's Dallas to Miami, because I've done that in an F-16 and I've done it very fast, because as soon as I hit the Gulf, I had to get home because the SOF was like, where are you, dude? We need this jet now. But anyway, I digress. You guys
problem stuff. I can't think of any. I mean, because all my stuff was like Kingsville, Meridian to Jax or Key West, or well, I mean, and most of the time, like Mover said, I'm actually flying faster in an airliner than I was in like a Hornet or a T-45.
7-8 for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, but if you're, dude, you give me like a Charlie out over the water, I can fly really fast for a really short amount of time. And it's going to be a blast, but I'm not going anywhere. So I don't know.
Yeah, so the other hard part is that you talk about city pairings. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think any of us have flown an exact, because usually military fighter jets, we really don't fly into really busy airspace, right? Like you're never gonna go Boston, Atlanta.
I did because of the depot. So I was the depot guy for a while, and I was going Homestead to Dallas to Salt Lake City, and I did that a lot.
I've done Meridian into like Dulles.
Yeah,
which was stupid.
We would cross country, but generally speaking, it's hard to get a exact pairing. But kind of like Wombat talked about, we would always top off our tanks in Afghanistan, and then we had like a 550-mile trip back to the ship, and we would be behind like a KC-10 or 135, pick your tanker. And it was always nice if they could drag us back, right? Because we just sit there and follow the big jet in front of us. But we would start down the boulevard, which was the route that we would all take, and every single time they would start speeding up, and then finally we were like, hey, can you guys either slow down or we got to, and they would literally, all the tankers would fly 50 knots faster than us, because we would cruise.
They could.
Max range cruise in a Hornet is slower than max range cruise in an airliner. And the KC-10 guys want their, do they have gas to burn? They're like, we're just going to put them up here, and we don't, we're going to burn it. Yeah. So they'd smoke us, man.
And your drag index is through the roof because you're in combat config. Like,
when you're doing something.
When you're doing a cross country or anything long range, you got 2 bags, travel pod,
Now, I mean, for like your Cessna guys, now I went Panama City to Eglin in 8 minutes. I could have gone faster, but I mean, that's in a T-38, but
I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fast. I mean, that's
I did, what was it? San Antonio to New Orleans in like 35 or 40 minutes or something stupid like that. Because it was one of those things where they're like, it's standard Air Force Base nonsense, right? Because they're like, hey, we've got you filed on a star into Houston. I'm like, no, that's not what I filed. Well, you're gonna have to come back in. I was like, I'd like to cancel, proceed VFR. Okay, you can do that. Take off VFR 17.5 all the way from San Antonio to New Orleans. I get to New Orleans. They're like, hey, are you planning on descending? Because the airport's like, I just was zoned out. I just went east at
you're like
0.95. I'm like, oh, it's down there. Yeah, sure, whatever. All right, right to downwind. Let's land. But yeah, I think that was about 40 minutes.
I did the opposite in a T-45 on my solo cross country when we were down in Kingsville, because I was meeting a girl in San Antonio and we could only go so far. So she was driving and I knew I had time. So I took off out of Corpus and flew as slow as I could fly the T-45, which was hilarious right up until the end. So I'm on approach on this god awful long straight in going into Randolph, I think, right? Isn't that like, that's what's there? San Antonio? I don't remember. Anyway.
Yeah. Randolph.
And the whole time they're like, hey, so-and-so, can you speed up? Best speed forward. I'm like, you got it, and I'm just like, the plane is just, and they're like, best speed. I'm like, affirmative. Like, I'm solo student, right? And dude, I touch down and they're like, expedite off the runway. And I'm like, dude, and at the runway, and I don't know if it's changed, but I remember vividly, like, there's a taxi and it goes, and I was like, I'll get the next one, which is at the end. And their tower's like, please get off the runway, or we're just gonna have to send a plane around. Like, please, please, please get off the runway. And I'm like, oh man, what do I do? So I get off at the end. Here comes this C5, as slow as that thing could go. And like, no kidding, I turn and I see the puffs of smoke as it touches down. And I'm like, oh my God, I almost made a C5 go around. So then they're like, you could switch ground, and ground comes up and they give me taxi directions. And I'm like, can you repeat that? And they're like, just follow the C5. Because, oh, by the way, the C5 landed and got off at the midfield. And I was like,
is that the big plane?
I was like, yes. Like literally, I said to ground, I was like, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's
guys.
funny.
That was on me. I was like, sorry.
Perfect.
That
Man.
sounds like you were Kelly.
Yeah, dude,
That might have been Kelly.
was-
Yeah.
That's Kelly. P5s would be
Dude,
Lackland, Kelly,
it-
NX.
it was-
Been there a few times too.
Dude, it was so stupid. I'm like, this tiny little clown jet is going to make this ridiculous C5 go around. Like, and I can only imagine now flying bigger planes.
We got plenty
I
of gas,
bet-
dude.
Yeah, but I bet those C5 pods were like, you have got, like, they're looking over the nose, like, just tell me when that stupid thing is off the runway. Like, I can barely see it. They're like, we could fit it literally in our snack compartment back here. And
In the oven. It'll
Yeah,
go in the
I'm like,
microwave.
Open the
sorry.
nose.
If it helps, I don't have my wings yet, so I'm just happy to be.
I'm surprised
Anyway.
you had the wherewithal to apologize.
I felt
Like,
pretty
as
bad
a
at that point.
student, I wouldn't.
I
Sounds
felt
like a
pretty
you
bad.
problem.
That was an interesting trip. Well, so that was an interesting trip because I'm not as proud about this, but on the so you leave the jet for the weekend, you go, you do your thing, you come back, and as I'm getting ready to leave, I run into a dude who is a FAPE in Vance, who I remembered vividly, and he looked at me and he was like, "Why do I know you?" And I was like, "Because you asked me, sir, if I did anything else well, because there was no way I was ever going to get my wings." And he's like, and it's funny because his student was standing there, and you could tell this FAPE was like, that doesn't sound like me, but this student was like, well,
That's
100% that dude. So I hop in my T-45, and his little
that's
tweets
funny.
parked next to me, right? And again, it was a younger Wombat, wasn't really nice. And this dude, he's out there pre-flighting, and I'm getting ready to taxi, and I'm just like, and turn and just sweep their whole plane with the exhaust. And I was like, welcome. I'm
So
still
wait,
here.
hold on a second. They let you guys go solo cross country as
Correct.
students?
One leg solo. Well, shortly
Yeah,
after
dude.
my class, it got ruined because one of my friends, peers, we'll say peers, had a rental condo in Pensacola.
They don't do it anymore.
And no. Now it's come and gone, but right after us. So this dude, rental condo in Pensacola, you're allowed to go one leg, which you could make from Kingsville to Pensacola. You could. So he's going to, or maybe he couldn't make it, but he was going to go somewhere and leave the jet and drive because there was a hurricane coming and he wanted to check on his condo, which is fine. They told him not to do it, but he did it anyway. Like, he got clearance and they're like, you have to stay with the jet. He's like, okay, I'll stay with the jet. He didn't stay with the jet. The problem is he left the canopy open in a T-45 as the storm blew through.
Oh,
And from the pictures I saw, the cockpit looked like a bathtub. Like the water was up to the rails. And that was when they,
you just need a good shop vac.
yeah, dude, I felt bad for the instructor who had to fly out there and fly the thing back. Could you imagine being the dude? It's like, all right, mover. So we got a deal for you. We're going to send you real quick to Louisiana to pick up a T-45. Oh, okay.
Was it
What's wrong
an
with
A or
Well,
the?
it was an A. It was an A.
Oh,
But
really?
it doesn't matter, dude. It's electronics,
Yeah.
It's like, so what
When
we're
you
gonna
turn
need
the
you to
batteries
do-
on, cross your
All right.
fingers.
Yeah. Have you ever had a Jeep Wrangler? Because there's no plugs in the floorboard of the T-45. So we got to get all the water out. And then, when you
Take the
start
bucket.
powering her up, make
Yeah,
sure
move
you're
her-
grounded. Like, hold on to some rubber or something.
I went to Del Rio, man, and visited a friend from pilot training. So solo. I asked for the carrier. They were like, no. Probably a
I
good
didn't
thing. That
even-
might have been my
See,
last
I
one.
didn't ask for that in San Antonio. I asked for the straight in on purpose because I wanted to
Yeah.
burn time.
Yeah, that's
They-
there's a lot of learning to be done there, man. Like,
There's a lot of
solo, yeah.
learning.
Yeah,
100%.
they never let us do that.
yeah.
Well,
I didn't
it's
do my
different.
first solo cross country till the F-16. I mean, you did a solo cross country. You were just chicks in tow. Like, we did the conga line. Like,
Yeah,
We
we
did
all
that
went
too.
to Chenault.
Yeah.
But we never did like a, hey, here's a jet. Good luck. Call us when you get there. Never, never, ever. Well, again, F-16. Thomas Brewer says donation in Frenchie's name to Folds of Honor. That's cool.
Oh, man, that's awesome, man.
Davey says, hey, Mover, Gonky, and Wombat. I successfully selected T-45s at Meridian out of Navy primary training. Thanks for keeping me motivated for all these years.
Congrats,
Any advice for strike training?
Don't be a douche. Don't be a douche.
Getting better than that.
Yeah. That's all you need. That's flight school in a nutshell, right?
Well, hey, Davey, if you made it to T-45s, man, just keep that work ethic going. So,
100%.
just because I made it to T-45s, like, dude, don't let off the gas, man. You got to hold the gas down. I would say that the learning curve, I know you don't hear this probably, but it gets steeper and harder really all the way through the end of the RAG, even into your fleet squadron. If you go into, Super Hornet or any of the great jets in the Navy. So, you don't let up, man. And it keeps getting better. It gets harder, so to speak, but it gets better as well. So congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Congrats. I would say T-45s is, it's a forgiving little jet, but it's still very much flight school. So like what Gonky said, whatever you did in the T6 to get to that point makes you, that pyramid's getting smaller, right? That's naval aviation, right? So, and strike is that way. So it's getting smaller, but you're going to be now up against every one of your peers is
way
better, right? So like there's less chance you're going to fly with an instructor who's like, well, yesterday homeboy tried to kill me. I'm just happy that you can close the canopy fast enough so we can get the air conditioning on. Like, it's not that way. It's yesterday that guy or girl was top of their class. You better be top of your class, and I expect it tomorrow. So, but that's honestly what makes it really cool. In my opinion. So
dude, when I got to T-45s, that's really when military aviation started to get, I was still terrified because I was always 2 flights from failing out, but like it started to get more fun and real, like living the dream style. So
yeah, for sure. T-45 is a fun little jet, as long as it's not spitting compressor blades or causing you to get hypoxic. But if you just skip those 2, it's a great little jet.
Okay. All right. Good talk. Isat Ekar from Turkey says, hello from Turkey, 0402 AM. Love your show and thank you for awesome show. Dude,
thanks, man.
Every week. Thank you.
I love it.
Trouble Actual says, can I pick a fight, Blue Angels or Thunderbirds?
It's obviously Blue Angels. Come on. That's not even close. It's obviously the Blue Angels.
Dude, here's the thing. They both wear flight suits that are just too tight for me. So I'm out.
Only the Blue Angels do that weird, like, and we're pulling to the moon now. And
dude,
chair flying stuff, that was not cool.
It's not, but
why is that not cool?
It's nerdy. You're a fighter pilot. Nerdy. You got to look cool all the time, especially when you're on camera. Don't do stuff like that.
Look, dude, I'll go see the flight doc for those issues. But like, that's a good
point. They had the better flight doc on that one.
Like I said,
it all boils down to this: the Blue Angels don't wear G suits. The Thunderbirds do. Done.
Yeah, because you're in a 7G jet.
Flight suit's too tight, guys.
The flight suit is, there's a lot of moose knuckle. That either way, that's too much.
Your mom is watching, Wombat.
She doesn't know what moose knuckle is. If she did, she would laugh.
Someone's getting a phone call and a talking to here shortly.
I gotta go. What does that mean? What do you mean? I don't know what that means. What does it mean?
She's just proud of her little boy. That's all.
Every once in a while, I forget we're live too on that. Don't worry.
I know. Yeah, whatever.
I believe no one watches, so I have to figure that out quick and in a hurry. Peter Mach.
Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Fred, baby. 137th Airless Squadron, New York Air National Guard. Check that out.
Awesome.
Cool. Because it's in honor of the 137th. See what the thing? See what he did there?
Yeah.
Tom says it's obviously the Blue Angels. Mace enters the chat. And no one's ever called them the Thunder Angles. Like
Thunder Chickens.
It's always
Thunder
like
Chickens.
Blue Angles. Nobody can
son,
spell angel. So Thunderbirds, it's easy. It's a car. It's a puppet show.
Chickens.
Look, dude, they're both awesome. They both do a fantastic job at what they do. I don't know, man. Flying around in formation.
You're bullying the demo teams, aren't you? You're bullying.
I was on the demo team.
Yeah, but you weren't
not
like
the tight flight suit.
It's not a real demo team.
You were the guy.
Yeah, you flew really fast low. That's not
Who's
much
bullying
demo.
who now?
Yeah. Okay.
But that's allowed. We keep it in house.
Yeah.
You can't go bully external teams.
Yeah,
They both are really cool for what they do. I
dude,
like the Blue Angels show different. It's just something different about it. I don't know why.
both shows are different. That's why I think it works that they're both at the same air show. 2 different airplanes, 2 different shows. I just it's just I'd
No
rather
Fat
watch-
Albert.
No, the real winner is the Wet Boys. JT's team,
Yeah,
his virtual
the virtual
demo team. They are obviously the winners here.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm getting a text from my mom.
Yeah, well,
Of course you are, dude.
Now
If
you're
you got to
grounded.
go, we
Yeah,
understand.
now you're grounded. Manjot Singe says, "Mover, you literally fly in a chair." DCS.
Wait, so I have a question.
That's chair flying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
but I
sure.
don't do it out loud.
Dorky like.
Yeah, I don't do
When
it. in a
Mover does it,
briefing
it's
room.
totally not nerdy.
Yeah, I wear a VR headset, and that looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, gosh. That's not nerdy at all, dude.
Not at all, dude. There's nothing cooler than sitting in your boxer briefs with
No.
virtual headset on.
An adult male.
An adult male.
Uh-huh.
My wife would kill me, dude, if you got into it.
Oh, that's
You
dude.
can't even buy Starlink, dude.
I rest my
Dude,
case, dude. She's
yeah,
a
yeah.
vicious little woman.
I asked
sometimes.
Gonky, I'm like, when are you coming back? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? How long was the trip planned? It's not up to me.
That's
I'm
true.
like, what does that mean? How
I'm
could it
just the
not
bus
be up
driver.
to you?
I'm the
It
bus
means that
driver.
Gonky's one of the smartest husbands in the world. That's what that
I'm
means.
still married.
He's
This is
like-
what that means.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Her half is still I get to borrow it, everyone, right? It's like, so.
Fine.
Oh, dude, no. Stop that. There's children watching. Stephen Billings, Air Godzilla, says, as I'm from the UK, I have to say red arrows,
Yeah.
except
Okay.
when they go the same direction on the heart.
The
Yeah,
Is that them?
that's not-
yeah.
I don't know.
It's them.
Yeah.
They're the ones that fly basically just the Hawk,
The Hawk,
right?
yeah.
T-45 with the yeah.
Tom says, Mover plays DCS unironically, Mike Tyson.
Did Tyson really say that?
Probably. John says, Gonky's finger guns has to be a meme.
Dude, what's funny is he's been doing those finger guns since I've known you. Like
I was doing them today with my kid, man.
you gotta picture like what was it 2002 API
That's why
and
we
we're
can't have
walking
you on
around
the show.
Pensacola and Gonky's like yeah and I'm like stop doing that on a naval base bro
You gotta-
you don't look like you should be doing that around
I was
here.
teaching you how to shoot one, but you got to lead. This is
Yeah.
your first lesson in
I'm
lead
like,
and
dude,
angles,
it's,
and
it's 2002 they're gonna put you in the brig
That's
like
true.
just stop. Like, this is before diversity like it was like that looks odd in front of the O Club. Stop.
I believe
doing
that's an old wooden ship.
it.
All right, Gonky, you're up.
pull it up, Doug. Por favor. Pakistan confirms acquisition of Chinese J-35 stealth fighters and
That looks
integrated air
familiar.
defense systems. So this is the 2-engine version, Chinese version of the F-35, allegedly the American. So it looks like so this article is pretty straightforward. So they bought the airplane and what scroll down what they bought a what is that the KJ
So they got the airborne AWACS, the early
Yep.
warning and control aircraft, and then
Yeah,
the
the
HQ-19 ballistic
Yep.
missile defense. So, dude, they went with the whole package.
They did, but the thing that really caught me about this article is down towards the bottom. They Pakistan said that they already have pilots in China training.
For the J-10.
No, J-35, right? Right there, right? Chinese aviation. Let's see. I thought it said. I thought it said they were in China training on the J-35, dude.
I don't know. I didn't see that part.
It's in there, so I don't know.
You lose
Anyways.
people. You lose people.
So this, I mean, this is the first export, right? Export customer for the J-35. Pakistan uses the F-16 as well, and I think they're older, so this might be the replacement for it. But I mean, they bought, like you said, Mover, they bought a significant amount of Chinese hardware. So it's, I mean, definitely they're not buying any American stuff. And I guess the recent conflict with India, right? With the claimed J-10 success. So I don't know, man. It's looking like the Chinese export, the military business of exporting weapons for China is getting a little bit of traction. Wombat, what do you think, man?
I mean, it's interesting. I find it more interesting, I guess, that they got the whole package than that thing, because that is, in theory, should all work together better. You know, I mean, you've talked, I don't talk about anything important on the show, but you've talked about it where you could take the most advanced fighter and give it to the worst pilot, and the integration of the whole weapon system just doesn't work. But it sounds like to me that they are, you know, looking at this from a big picture of, we're going to have the whole thing go.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's probably not the worst way to do it, but
yeah. Hey, Doug, bring the bring that article back up and go to the second paragraph. This is what I was talking about. Por favor. Can you bring it? Hold on here. There we go. I don't think anybody can see that. But it says what, the first airplanes will start arriving in the aircraft
Coming months.
Yeah, in the coming months, right? And it says yeah. So they got pilots in China training on the J-35 right now, which is pretty eye-opening. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm a proud American, but you know, we smoke and joke about the Chinese stuff, but you know, you cannot deny the speed and the industrial capacity that China has. So, I mean, I don't know exactly when the J-35 was first developed, but it seems to me that they brought that thing from, you know, a sketch on a piece of paper
From the F-35. Yeah. Okay.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, holy cow. Like, I read this
It was a
article.
good sketch. It was a good sketch.
Really good
Right.
sketch. A lot of depth files. Somehow classified. Don't know where
Yeah.
they got it.
Somehow they knew the super F-35 that we wanted to build. So
Yeah.
they just added the other
Engines.
engines. They're like,
Yeah.
they're going to want this later. But
We
you know,
fix.
I mean, but even aside from that, it's pretty, if that's true, it's pretty amazing that, you know, the J-35 is relatively new to the rest of the world as far as it even existing. And then, hey, we're going to sell to Pakistan. Guess what? We already have Pakistani pilots in country training on it. And hey, and also guess what? We're going to have these things to you here shortly. I mean, how long is the waiting list for F-35 for our allies? You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is the industrial capacity of China, I think is pretty eye-opening. If that statement is true, it might not be true. It might be all propaganda.
Well, you have to remember, it's a great point, Gonky. I mean, that is incredibly fast. You're right. It is surprising. But you have to remember the Pakistan-China relationship is not new, right? They did the JF-17. They have bought the J-10CE. J-10 had success in their recent conflict with India, and that became viral news. We've covered it. We've angered a lot of people on both sides about it. But the fact that, you know, they were claiming 6 kills and, you know, India came out and said, yeah, we lost aircraft in this conflict, and they're kind of getting dodgy about it, means that it performed well. So what happens when something performs well, right? You go back and go, hey, give us this package deal. And you got to remember too, it's something, you know, you talked about with Malaysia, you know, and them buying stuff, but any country, if the ecosystem works, right? If a J-10 avionics are very similar to the J-35, it's a very easy transition, you know, and you're buying the package deal to where all your aircraft are, you know, plug and play almost. You know, you take a J-10 guy, put him in the J-35, you know, all they're learning is the systems differences, and they're good to go. It's not a fast pipeline at all. The question I have, like you pointed out, is what does that come with? Does it come with tactics? Is it coming with full avionics suites? Is it throttled back avionics? Like, what does their export version look like? How many aircraft do they get that are full up and ready to go? You know, and are they that fast? Because yeah, like the Malaysian, the Su-30, right? You can give them a husk of an aircraft with 2 engines and, you know, flight controls, but the avionics package is going to take a little bit longer to figure out if you're not
Right.
including that. And I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying, there's a lot more to it. And if they are able to produce that quickly, I mean, dude, how do you compete with that?
Yeah, that's the scary part to me. Like, holy cow, that thing, in my mind, it's still like over at the VX squadron, they're still like trying to figure out how it drops.
Well, they
weapons.
probably don't do that. That's probably
which-
part of it, where they don't go through like, well, we need to test the air conditioner at 69 degrees today. It's going to take 6 weeks to figure that out. Like, they don't do it.
Yeah, they don't.
It's a $2 million test, but I mean,
Yeah. We're gonna test the coating today, put it in the hangar that can fry it.
yeah,
Just
yeah, you got a point, dude. Yeah, I
we'll
mean,
figure it out.
yeah.
I mean, maybe we could start copying some stuff.
No.
Well, yeah, I mean, our stuff is better, but like we've said in the past, man, the whole procurement process, the whole, design board to frontline, something needs to happen. Like, it's too expensive and it takes too long, which
I wonder what the support is too, right? Because they get all this stuff, like what's the parts availability when things start breaking? What's the maintenance training look like? What's the extra?
yeah.
Yeah, because that's huge too. I mean, if they're not getting any support,
Yeah.
like that's tough to generate, right? To learn on your own and to.
Yeah, you have to go elsewhere. I mean, the Malaysians told me when they got the MiG-29, the Russians taught them how to take off and land, and they left. It's like, well, but wait,
Look,
yeah. Well,
Good luck, guys.
the Indians helped them out. So, and then they figured stuff out as well by themselves. But yeah, you're right. I mean, what, what comes with that? An airplane's airplane, but there's maintenance knowledge and parts, and I mean, just a laundry list of programs and expertise that comes with maintaining these high-tech weapons. So, I mean,
it's like that old commercial with the two kids, I got a brand new F-35, it's invisible, and the other kid's like, well, I got 2 new Super Hornets with all support and 10-year warranty, like, and so like one thing you just get the plane and it's invisible, the other one you get all this extra stuff and
same price.
It's like Wombat said, right? If you're getting, we just talked about if the F-16 did the shoot down with the Su-35 and their early warning, imagine an ecosystem that's already designed for itself. They're doing the KJ 500, one of the early warning and control aircraft, plus the ballistic missile system or interceptor. I mean, dude, that's what they need in Pakistan, because their threat is right across the border.
Right.
I mean that they've just shown that's what they're fighting.
Yeah.
We would rather them not, but that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
All right. From the audience, Crazy Pete says T-Birds because Vipers are prettier. Valid.
They move around more though.
Because they're tiny.
Yeah. Well, they just are. It's a twitchier jet. I'm assuming. I haven't flown a Super Hornet or a Viper, but anyway.
Ron says, more important question for Gonky, Applebee's or Bob Evans? Ohio joke.
Oh, dude. Bob Evans. Come on.
What is Bob Evans? It sounds like
Blasphemy.
some Canadian thing.
No, man. It's here in Ohio. It's the best breakfast place you can get. I cooked up some Bob Evans sausage this morning for breakfast. Just because I'm in Ohio.
I wasn't aware you were a fan of Bob Evans' sausages.
Should get to know him better.
Sorry, Wombat's mom.
You're about to get a phone call too, Mover.
Roland Castorina says, great to see Wombat here. Period. Would love to hear more LSO stuff again. It's been a while. $5. Hit it, Wombat.
Well, there I was.
Yeah.
There I was.
I've got nothing. That's not LSOing at all. That's marshaling.
Wombat,
Wow.
listen. Okay, here I'll throw a question at you that will elicit. Did you? When's the last your last wave, and did you know it was your last wave? And
See
T-45s, and I did.
Who was it?
I don't know. I don't remember the student. but it was a T-45. It was a boat debt, CQ, carrier quals. And I knew it was going to be my last boat debt. And it made me sad because, like, I remember flying out there. There's a picture of it. I've posted it where I'm in like the fancy jet leading the division out as the first LSO on. Because typically how we would do it is one LSO would walk onto the ship and catch the first T-45s, which were all LSOs. So it was like the most dangerous. He's the only dude up there instead of having backup, and it's all LSOs coming in, which are the least likely to actually listen to the LSO on the flight deck. So, but it used to always work out. And I remember cracking the canopy when I landed on the ship and just all the smells and everything. And I'm like, this is going to be the last time I do this, and guys were like, no, you're going to be a reservist in Meridian and you'll still do it. And I'm like, I don't think I am. Like, I think this is it. And, I remember the last student who qualled and, it was like, there's always the mad rush to get off the ship, cause you want to go back, and actually have some fun in town before you have to fly home, but I just couldn't, man. The student that qualled, he got in the back seat and I hopped up and, and he was really cool too, because he didn't have to get in the back seat. Like I didn't care. He could have launched and I would have just hopped in his trunk. And he insisted. He's like, "Nah, sir, this is your last one. Like you're gonna be up front." And I was like, "All right." And that was it. It was over. Like everything in aviation, it just ends so quickly that you're like, never do that again.
Dude.
But it was such a huge part, and I still flew in Meridian for a little bit after that. Because I wasn't done with those orders, but I was done being the wing LSO. And shortly thereafter, I was done with those orders and getting out. So I think I would have appreciated it more. There was a lot going on at the time. I was getting out of the Navy, which I didn't think I was going to. I was going to the airlines, which I certainly didn't think I was going to. I mean, there was just so many life changes. We're talking about moving and all this stuff, and my wife and I, it was just a whirlwind of stuff that I'm like, man, I wish there's certain moments during that time I wish I could have appreciated more and just be like, but
Did you keep your coat? Did you keep your last
I don't know what
LSO?
you're talking about. I don't have anything. I gave all my gear back to the Navy.
He stole the chair. All he
None of
did was
this.
take the chair.
Not the chair.
He
This
took
is
the
all-
chair. He's like,
Those
I can't
shiny
have this coat.
helmets.
I'm taking this chair.
Yeah. None of that. That was all
Ripped
eBay.
it from the floor.
So, but yeah, it's, it was cool. And it was cool. We didn't have anybody DQ on that boat either,
Nice.
which I was pretty proud of. So
Nice.
I was
Well,
pretty happy about that.
Roland, you sure
So-
got your money's worth on that one.
That's what we do here, man. Over deliver.
Yeah, that's
Steve
wild.
likes Rhino. I would argue the tactics transition is backwards. Pakistanis proved Western tactics work with Chinese jets. I think PLA would be very interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Valid. Aset Akar says USA should make a more F-16s every pilot's wet dream. No fancy thrust vectoring, but best gunslinger in town. Sexy girl in the party. I paid him to write that, not the other way.
Wed dream, not wet. Wed. Just on Wednesdays.
Hey, don't
That's
bully
all.
our guests, our foreign guests in the large country of
I love it,
Turkey.
dude. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
he's
it.
right.
Dude.
He's right.
He had the
Dave.
best F-35 comment last week, man. When you wake up in the middle of the night and you look over, you're like, ah. He's hilarious.
That's the J36.
Or was that a J30?
That's
That's right.
hilarious.
No, I'm
Sorry, I
saying
thought
now it's the J36.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
All right. In other news, remember how we were gonna announce the FAXX like 8 weeks
Any
ago?
Any day now.
It was gonna be a big thing because we announced the F-47, and we were like, any day now, the Navy's gonna get theirs, and will it be Boeing or Northrop Grumman? Is it
Or
going to be a
nobody.
Boeing thing? We started getting the spreadsheet out to see which way it would go. And now the thing is stalled and they're trying to steal money from it. It may be defunded altogether now, which Gonky and I know about being defunded. But the DoD is reporting they're considering cutting funding for the 6th gen fighter for the Navy, which would be a much needed F-18 EF and F-35 replacement. Obviously, you need stealth, especially around the boat, so your own people don't shoot you down.
That's a fact.
Given the schedule delays and cost growth across numerous airframes, DoD recommends a focus on the F-47, giving the Navy's FAXX program time for maturity and development. Phasing the FAXX, God, they need a better name for this. After the Air Force's initial F-47 development will alleviate capacity concerns in the industrial base. It further elaborated. Considerable uncertainty. Its affordability has been brought into serious question. Boeing is the primary contractor for the F-47. There's old fat Amy. They talk about China fielding their growing numbers. They already have 2 6th-gen fighters, or allegedly, with the J-36. But yeah, I don't know about the finance. Look, there's a picture of the J-36. We just talked about it. Scroll down, Doug.
Still ugly.
That the dude went straight to jail. So the Air Force has struggled with extreme funding shortage, like the B-21, F-35, which is obviously way over budget, the Sentinel ICBM, the EX, and the modernization of the B-52, which is now pushing 100 years old. And for legal reasons, that's a joke. But it's going to force the Navy to compromise. So I yield the floor, but I will say I think that's a hint that Boeing is leading in that, and that may be why they're doing that. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, all of this stems moving from kind of what we've said in the past. Like, we can't afford the military we want, right? So is taking funds from the Navy's FAXX and funneling them to the F-47 a good or bad idea? In my mind, it depends, right? I always think about like the F-4 was a great fighter for both services. So F-35, I've said it before, the Marines ruined it for everybody. I think if they don't have a crazy vertical takeoff requirement, I actually think a fantastic Air Force fighter could be carrierized if needed, much like the Phantom F-4 was. So that's just my own. I'm just a pilot. I don't know anything about anything, just opinion. But like I said in the article, right, it alluded to a lot of other airframes we have that we're spending a lot of money on. And it also touched on the fact that China is fielding, I don't know if these are actually 6th-gen airplanes, or if they're just throwing fancy looking flying machines out there that don't really have any capability. But if they do, it looks like we're being outpaced, right? Because we don't have anything 6th-gen-ish that we know of that's out there. So I don't think it's a terrible idea. I mean, they're doing what they have to do, right? But at the same time, dude, the Hornet is getting pretty long in the tooth. I love it. I mean, the Super Hornet is a kissing cousin to the Legacy Hornet, legendary Hornet. But I mean, that airplane is basically the airframe is right early 70s, mid 70s technology. Of course, the electronics are all new and modern, which that's what gives it its real firepower. But at some point, the Navy's going to need a more modern, clean sheet design for future missions that, the Hornet and probably the F-35 is not going to be up to snuff. But that's just my own unprofessional opinion. Wombat.
I think Boeing's wet dream is to have an aircraft carrier with no pilots and just a bunch of drones. And frankly, if we used to say this back in 2005 and 6, like everybody would have been happier if the E2 could have done its job sitting on the flight deck and never getting airborne. And honestly, I think we're moving towards that technology, which is a good thing. I mean, it is, but I think that, the aircraft carrier of the future may very well just be, a drone truck and some really awesome radar and data link. And it would not surprise me if that's what Boeing is trying to push for. And is that the right answer? I don't know. I mean, I know people are like, oh, it's late here. Wombat's grumpy because of technology. I have no problems with technology. I think technology is super important, but I've seen the best technology in my generation all fall apart just because of the environment that the Navy operates in. And it's just a very unforgiving environment. And when all of it falls apart or it's a degraded, system, it's like, we used to train to it, right? It's like guys be like, oh, the mids and data, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what's going to happen when all this is jammed? Like, you better be able to fly form and stay with your wingman or your lead, or else you're both dead. You know what I mean? It goes down to that. So I think that is as much as, and you've seen this, right? That, like, it's the story of, reality mimicking Hollywood or vice versa, right? I mean, what was the biggest, underlying tone of Top Gun Maverick? It's that he's outdated, right? That is the thought process, is that the pilots are outdated. They're not needed. And if we could just have this carrier, you could make them smaller, right? Faster. You can get them on station better. They can fly all the drones. You could have a bunch of E2 NFOs sitting in the tower, just doing their beeps and squeaks, and the data link is up. And is that better? I don't know. But I mean, when you see things like cutting the budget of the next generation of what is, other than, the obese Amelias that are sitting on aircraft carriers, like, this is the plane that's supposed to replace the vast majority of naval aviation on the fighter side, and we're going to cut the budget. It's like something doesn't add up. So, I mean, time will tell, but I don't like any war where there's not lots of people involved, because if you don't have a human stake in it, that gets ugly quick, real quick. And we've seen that with some of the drone stuff going on now. And you know what I mean? It's just, you take that human element out of it, and it gets, I hate to say it, gets, damn near biblical pretty quick, because it's, what separates the next war from DCS? It's all just a game, not a game. I understand DCS is not a game, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's like, well, yeah, it's all fake because it's over there, until it's now over here because the enemy's doing the same thing. So I do think we need to be very careful to not pigeonhole ourselves into one technology. But, we've been doing this for a while, right? I mean, the Navy that you and I grew up on wanting to join, every plane had its mission. And then the Navy that you and I flew in, it was pretty much one plane, did all the missions. And it's like, so now we're just tracking to
kind of.
Yeah. I mean, not true. The jack of all trades, master of none, right?
Yeah.
And, and back then it's like, well, hell, now you got an E2 and a bunch of Hornets and Super Hornets and a Helo. Cool. Well, now you got an E2 and less Super Hornets, and, the drones can tank other drones. They need less gas. I mean, it's going that direction, and it's,
well,
I don't know,
so let's back up for a second. First of all,
Sure.
Top Gun Maverick, the lesson learned was that Fat Amy can't fly with GPS jamming. It's useless.
true.
Man,
It is useless. Continue.
that whole movie could have been a growler, and that'd have been a very short film.
It is so boring.
Yeah. Straight and level. But anyway, I want to take a step back on this, because I talked about it in the open about, this means Boeing probably got it. I say that in jest, but think about it. The B-21 right now is Northrop. The F-47 is Boeing. Those were the two last standing for this program, because Lockheed they didn't get it. They bowed out, and they decided to focus on Gen 5.5 with the F-35. We talked about it not too long ago about the Air Force's vision, which was to trickle down technologies from the F-47 into Gen 5.5. Then they were going to have the EX, and then possibly we've talked about, Block 80, maybe, it's a possibility. I think one of the senators asked the chief of staff if that's even possible. On the Navy side, I could see something very similar, right? So you funnel the money into your technology demonstrator, the F-47, and then the tech that comes out of that either becomes your FAXX, which could look very much like the F-47 if Boeing wins that contract, or, you start talking, because the F-35C is going to get the same tech upgrades more than likely as the F-35A and B, and the Block 3 Super Hornet is going to probably get a lot of that tech because F-47, so I see a lot of diversification. To me, it in some ways it makes sense to pause. Let's see how this program, like you were talking about, Gonky, let's see what tech we get out of this program. Let's flesh it out. And then once we have something flying, because remember, they're very ambitious. They want to have this thing flying in the next 4 years, which is extremely ambitious for a Boeing project right now. To have it going out there, and if Boeing wins the FAXX, now they got 2 fighters that they're responsible for. Or we kind of pause it, put the money in the program that already exists, see what happens. And then if it's a disaster, hey, Northrop, how you doing with that B-21? Oh, you're doing real well. Guess what, bud? You just got this contract, and here's some tech from our other aircraft. Like, I can see this being a little bit of gamesmanship for this contract because they're so close together.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, all valid points. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, they're short on money, so they're doing what they have to do. And I think if I was in charge, I'd probably do the same thing, kind of like you said, Mover. I mean, let the F-47, because whatever technology comes out of that 6th-gen technology, like you said, it's going to be adaptable to a carrier version. If they want to have a manned version, I don't like Wombat. You bring up a good point. Maybe they're like, dude, for naval aviation, we see that's unmanned is kind of the direction we want to take naval aviation. I don't know, man. But I mean,
the biggest hurdle for naval aviation was landing on the carrier. And now they just do that.
They just do that. That's right. Isn't that crazy?
They're just like, that's not even hard anymore. It's just like, whatever, dude. It's just like my Yukon driving me around.
Yeah, it's crazy. Until it doesn't, but.
Right. Well, but then they have no training to recognize it. So whatever. YOLO.
Right.
Yeah.
S out of car says J-35 is F-35 after giving birth to 3 kids. She just gets larger, but Sam ugly. I would argue, I'm going to disagree with you there, because I think the proportions are better on the J-35. I think the J-35.
Sometimes that happens after you have kids.
She hit the gym because it doesn't need the lifting fan bulk. Although the canopy still opens the wrong direction, which I don't understand because it doesn't need the lifting fan, but they copied and pasted. They just did whatever.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. We got time for one more topic before the mental health minute. Do you want to do, what do you want to do, Gonky? Dealer's choice.
What do we got?
We got Air Force One, Rook, or the APICWAs that we've put off for about 4 weeks now.
I think the Rook thing's pretty cool.
All right.
It's short. Yeah.
So Rook has
Jared
Eisman, friend of the channel, posted a video that he's now authorized to post. It's very short.
But it's outstanding.
Dude, yeah, look at that. F-22, MiG-21.
And he's in his MiG-29.
And he's in a MiG-29.
Yeah.
I posted this to my Instagram story, and somebody sent me a thing and said, it's DCS. And I'm like, no, dude, this is just cool. It's a billionaire. Doesn't need DCS.
No.
He probably has no DCS anywhere around his home.
No, when he wants to, fly a fighter, he actually goes and flies a fighter.
Yeah. He calls up the Air Force. He's like, you guys want to fight me?
Yes, exactly. And this was for
Memorial flight, right?
Yeah, for was it the guy that flew the in the 80s? They had the Red Squadron, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Red Eagles.
Yeah, Colonel Evil
Peck,
yeah. First commander of the secretive Red Eagles. Yeah. Which Frenchie gave me a book about them. I think it's called, was it the Red Eagles? I forget. But it's a pretty amazing story about how basically in the 80s they stood up this secret squadron where they had a bunch of Russian jets, and they trained U.S. pilots how to fly and fight them. And they would support Top Gun and Wick sorties. And it was, it's pretty amazing. Like, the valuable training that U.S. aircrews got from fighting actual dissimilar aircraft, which I don't think we do anymore, which is sad because, I remember many stories in the book saying, like a MiG-23 versus a Tomcat. They're like, a Tomcat should win every time, but if the MiG-23 pilot does this, and they would do it and beat the Tomcat, right? So you show the guy one time and then he's like, oh, okay. Then he goes back to the fleet, teaches all of his buddies. It just raises everybody's proficiency. That's how you learn. So that was a pretty amazing program. And so that's
cool.
awesome. That's an awesome memorial flight, and that video is awesome.
Hell yeah.
Not
Wombat,
these
you got
days.
anything on this?
No, that's just cool. That's flat out cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to be a billionaire so I can buy us.
Mike Twain.
Well, a good segue.
Oh, dude. Kind of.
Gonky, you want to lead this off?
Yeah, I guess I can, dude. Mental health minute. So, this stems off of conversations Mover and I have been having. We've been having a lot of these conversations lately, and
Always.
yeah. So big life choices, right? So, freedom, baby. So, I've pretty much figured out that that's kind of my ultimate goal. Like mentally, I am the happiest when I'm the freest, and I think most people are like that, right? You just don't want to, you just want to live your life the way you want to live your life, right? And so, a lot of that, thankfully, I live in America, and I still believe that, I believe this is the greatest country in the world, and the freedoms here afford me the opportunity to live a very free lifestyle like I do. So, if you can't, like if you're, like if I wasn't able to go to church and practice my religion, that would create a lot of issues for me. And even like, I know a lot of people have 9-to-5 job. I figured out here the last 10 years that I don't think I'm cut out for a 9-to-5 job. There's a lot of, as an entrepreneur and a rather part-time pilot, I've realized that, being master of my day is very freeing to me. And when I lose control of that, I start to kind of go down these rabbit holes where it actually mentally, I start to get depressed, I guess, when you can't wake up and make the day your own. And as I get older, and being up here in Ohio, unfortunately, like my uncle was in the hospital. My dad's a little bit sick. My father-in-law is not, he's not doing the best. Like, you start seeing the value of time. And to me, freedom and time kind of go hand in hand. And, my wife and I talk about it all the time, the freedom to have the time to spend with your loved ones is, to me, super important. And I think maybe for me, it's a bit of PTSD from as a kid growing up in Saudi Arabia. My dad worked for Aramco Oil Company. We only got to come back to America for a couple weeks a year. And this was in the 80s. I don't know if they have internet in the kingdom now, or they probably do, but in the 80s, you only had a couple hours of TV a day. And I'm very fortunate. The kingdom really blessed my family, but it was just a different lifestyle. And I remember as a kid, when it was time to leave the States, it was a tough time for me. Didn't want to go, a lot of tears and crying. And, because I only got to see my grandma once a year, got to see, my cousins once a year. And so as an adult now, I really value that time. And now that I'm getting older and I'm starting to see, life is not infinite, and it's super important. The time that you spend with friends and family, I have really tried to put a mental shift towards everything I do in life going to freedom. That's, financial freedom, religious freedom, physical freedom from ailments, trying to maintain a healthy body and mind. So I put that above money. Mover and I were talking a little bit earlier. The money doesn't. That's one thing that thankfully, Boeing taught me. When I worked as a pilot in Malaysia, I made a lot of money. I lived exactly like I did when I was just a Navy lieutenant fighter pilot. Like, the rest was just there. So, Wombat.
I think it's interesting. Freedom is vastly different to every individual. If you asked 100 people what defines freedom to them, you'd probably get close to 100 different answers. And I was thinking about, as you were talking, over my life, freedom has changed. My definition of it has changed massively, right? I mean, when you're a kid, your first Huffy bike is freedom, right? Because you can go ride down the street. As you get older, your first car It's freedom, right? Because you could go make stupid decisions without your parents knowing, although they always knew. You know, you get in the Navy, and I felt like I had very little freedom until I got to the fleet. And then I have wings, right? So you have freedom. And then it just gets bigger and bigger as you become an instructor or change platforms or all that. And it's funny because I look back now at 46 with 2 kids and a wife, and none of that was actual freedom to me now. Like none of it was. I was always being controlled by some other entity. And I was seeking those little moments where I could feel like my own, right? I mean, think about how long we spent in the military. You know, that freedom, like you aren't really free. Like you're under the hand of somebody all the time making decisions for you that you really didn't have a choice for the most part. You know, like, and it was just very interesting. And it wasn't until I got out. And then there's different types of freedom, right? And I find as an airline pilot, the stereotypes that hit in this world, I'd say most are driven by financial things, right? Everybody defines in this world, not everybody, the vast majority of people define it as financial. And it's funny because, yeah, you could joke as much as you want about the cars and stuff like that I've had, but like financial freedom actually doesn't really even mean that much to me anymore because I know I can make more money, right? I mean, you can always make more money. There's a million different ways you can make money. To me, freedom is knowing that I'm choosing to put myself in the positions that I'm putting myself in for the reasons at the time that those positions are important, right? So there's been times where my freedom was waking up at 3 a.m. because we had a young kid at home. We were new parents, and that was the only time I was going to achieve my goal of writing a book, right? So my freedom was actually a really early alarm clock and writing and editing and doing things and researching for 2 hours before anybody else, you know, got up. And then as that's kind of gone on, you know, my freedom at the airline has changed significantly, right? For a while there, as people who watch the show and know me, instructing was my freedom because it allowed me to be myself. It allowed my passion to come out until that kind of went away. And then now, in a weird way, flying is more the freedom because of the way that I fly my schedule. You know, as Mover was kind of joking before about how I do it. And other people look at the way I do it as extremely unfree because, you know, I'm quote unquote always on call, right? It's kind of how people perceive what I do. But the interesting part about that is it's quite the opposite. And I might be always on call, but I get to choose. So it's my choice whether I want to go fly or not, right? So there's inherent freedom in there. Throughout all of this, the thing that has the thing through everything I've just talked about, from that first Huffy bike all the way up to my Volkswagen that I drive and, you know, my lifestyle that I live now. It's a joke. The one, in my opinion, the one trait that has stood the test of time is every entity, everything I was looking at to get freedom in, it came because of discipline. If I didn't have my discipline for whatever it was I was working on, whatever I chose, I would never get that freedom, period. Right. So to me, my whole life, and I've noticed this more in probably the last 8 to 10 years, which is good because now I know it, but it's when I am disciplined in something that ultimately gives me the freedom. So whatever goal you're shooting for, whatever you want, if that freedom is truly to be able to just hang out in Ohio and not worry about it, it's the discipline of the things you do on the other sides that allows you to have the freedom to do that. The problem is we live in a world where I think discipline has completely gone away for most people. Most people are not willing to get up and put in the work consistently. They want instant results, right? We live in this world. This stupid thing has taught us, you know, I could look up anything right now. I can have instant gratification right now. And I want that. And if I don't get that, then I have an issue and I lose touch, right? It's, you know, the goldfish syndrome or shiny object syndrome, right? Like it's that squirrel mentality of like, oh, what's going on over here now? And there's so much stuff coming to distract us that to keep on that discipline path for whatever it is you're trying is much harder today than it ever was. And I truly think that if you want freedom in whatever your definition of it is, which I'm not here to tell you what is right or what is wrong, but if you want freedom in whatever that definition is, the only way you get there is with discipline, internal discipline on yourself to allow you to achieve those things.
Over.
Hi. You know what, Gonky? Honestly, the other thing we were talking about perception as reality is no kidding. Like, as you were saying that, because you brought up a good point, especially Wombat. I hate that phrase. One of the biggest douchebags I've ever met used that with me, and I'm like, no, reality is reality. It's not perception. It's reality. But where perception is reality is a true statement is in your own mind. Your perception of yourself is the reality you create. And to me, freedom starts in your mind. Like your perception of your own self-worth, your own lifestyle choices, because we become prisoners of our situations, right? We don't want to quit a job because we need that safety net. We don't want to take a job because, well, it's tough and we're out of our comfort zone. We don't want to take a risk because we're comfortable. And we get so comfortable that we create the walls of our own prison. And instead of getting the freedom to do what we want. And the moment you realize that everything is a choice and that it's your choice to make, you obtain that ultimate freedom. The moment you realize that, hey, this is my life. I only have one of them, as far as I know. What I do will work out. And I don't need validation from anybody else. I don't need to fit into anybody else's idea of what my life should be. I don't need to do the standard path. I'm going to make my own path. And people will hate you for it. They will come after you for it. They will try to take you down for it because that's our pack mentality. Everybody's got to be conformal or conformist, I guess, whatever. But everybody wants you to put you in this container. And the moment you step outside of that, they're going to try to attack you. But that freedom comes with freeing your mind and pushing that aside and doing what's best for you. And the moment that happens, the moment you go, I could go fly that fighter again. I could go do this again. Well, is that what I want, or that's what somebody else wants from me? Do I need this, or am I a free agent? Do I need this other job that I don't like versus this job that I do like? Well, it's risky to go take the job that I do like. Well, I'm a prisoner here. I don't have freedom unless I'm doing what I believe I'm called to do and I believe that I'm meant to do, like you were talking about, Gonky. So I think that once we master our own perception of ourselves and perception of what's important in our lives, we'll never truly have freedom. But once you do that, I think that is how you become free. And the way through that, I think, is through, using your mental health advisors, your counselors, chaplains, if you're in the military one source, DPH, just talking to friends, talking to Gonky, who constantly will tell you, why are you doing what you're doing? Or Doug. But, I think it's important to have that support network, but don't let your support network put you in a container. Because a lot of times people will give you advice based on what they think is best for you, not based on what you think is best for you. And sometimes that doesn't work out. Doug, what do you got, man? Okay.
He's mute.
He's not on. Here you go. Doug, what do you got, man?
Doug is not a licensed counselor, and any advice he gives is for entertainment purposes only.
I love it.
I've had an incredibly free life, and a lot of what you guys said really resonated for me. I decided early on with the support of my family that money was not the most important thing, and that time with them and time with my friends was. And I can't count the number of times I've felt the freedom to just say yes when somebody calls up and says, hey, you want to go do this cool thing? whether it was mover or racing with some guys that I really didn't even know at the time. They just said, "Hey, we need somebody to go racing with us. Are you available?" And I was available because of the freedom that came from my particular family and job situation. It's wonderful to have. And Wombat, you said something that really resonated too. We used to spend a lot of time as a family on a sailboat out in the middle of nowhere. And I never understood while I was doing it, and I kind of thought of it later, that what made that feel so free wasn't just that we were picking where we went and who we went with and all that piece of it, but there was no information flow. I didn't have to worry about what the news stories were. I didn't have to worry about what was trending. It was just me and my family and what we wanted to do that minute, that second. And it was incredibly, incredibly freeing. And I hope that my kids grow up realizing what a luxury that was. Because I don't feel like I totally even realized it at the time. But when you said that, it's like, you know what? Not having any demands even from the media. We don't think of it that way, but that's a freedom that I don't think people understand a lot. That's all I got today.
Yeah, it's something. I mentioned this to somebody. Somebody messaged me a little while ago and asked me, if there was one
during the show.
No, this was a couple of weeks ago, because I'm not on the show very often. Remember? So he's like, if you have a piece of advice to achieve your goals, whatever those goals are, what would be your one piece of advice? And I said, put your life on airplane mode. Yeah. He's like, what does that mean? And I'm like, just turn everything off, man. Like, you have your close circle, right? And those are the aliens coming right now.
Gonky's by a drag strip right now.
Yeah.
Outside.
Gonky's always
Fast
by
and
a drag
Furious
strip.
has kicked off right outside his window.
But yeah, it's, put your life on airplane mode and don't worry about the stuff externally that doesn't matter. And that's most things, if we're being honest. What's going on Instagram, what's going on in the news, there is some degree, like, you don't want to turn into somebody that's living in a shack in the woods, unless that's your goal. And then guess what? That's the only way you're going to do it. But we waste so much time on social media and all this stuff. And people that follow me probably notice that I've throttled it way back. I'll still post stuff. I'm still there, but there's other things that are in focus right now. And if people keep asking me for books, or people want the next step in the books, I've got to focus on that. And that's not putting up posts all the time. And that's just the way it's going to be. So you have to do that. And to me, that was very freeing. When this whole thing started off and I started writing and I started getting a followership, I was like, wow, this is everything. And then I realized, like, well, wait a second, it's really not. Like, there's some really cool people, and I've helped some people out, and some people have really helped me out, and I really appreciate them. But, like, you have to outline those things. And Gonky kind of alluded it to me. It's my 4 F's. Is that what it is? My faith, my family, my fitness, and my finances, in that order. Because I'm nothing without my faith. I'm nothing without my family. I happen to need my fitness, or I can't do my job, and then finances last. And that's kind of how we've tried to structure it here. But a lot of that is just turning the dang phone off, getting off scrolling. Sometimes it's cathartic.
Mondays. Not on Mondays at 8 o'clock Eastern time.
No.
So many things become obligations, though.
They do. They really do. They do. And they just take into your time. And it goes to what Mover was saying about that mental freedom. All of these things are living, rent free in your brain. And sometimes you got to evict some of it and just get it out of there. And you just got to focus on what's important to you, because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters, and I don't know. So,
most powerful word in the English language. No.
Having cool toys and people to share them with.
Yeah. And buy Volkswagens, because they're super fun. If I ever get it back.
Be able to say no. You have to be able to say no.
Yeah. Boundaries.
Yeah.
No.
It's huge.
No is valid. And you don't actually even have to say why. Just no.
Sometimes it feels better just to say no.
No. No, absolutely not. Great talk, fellas. All right, we got some things from the audience we'll get to. Let's see.
I can't wait to be back on the show in 3 months.
This is not licensed counseling or nothing.
Perfect, Ron.
Nailed it.
It's at a car, back to the F-35. Mover, if F-35 is a camel, J-35 is a pregnant camel. Never can be F-16 or F-15. All right.
Perfect.
I'll allow it. Heat Seeker says, how do fighter pilots keep their ears from popping while maneuvering? I get it from even slight altitude changes. I remember that being a problem unless I had a cold.
Yeah, same.
I wonder if pulling G's helps.
Jets are pressurized, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but, I
but
mean, not pressurized by the lowest bidder. Let's be honest.
Good point.
As long as the maneuvering wasn't like,
super
high,
yeah.
yeah. A lot of altitude stuff. It was fine.
Because it was
like
what, a Delta P above 20-something thousand, 24,000?
25,000. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
And then
you're right.
8,000 up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you remember this stuff?
Nerd.
He's going to ask you how you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catch up, right?
Although, dude, if you had a runny nose and you pulled some G's, whew,
Oh, dude.
oh,
Yeah.
man. I felt like a baby again, eating my own snot. Anyways.
John says, freedom is not the absence of commitments, but the ability to choose and commit myself to what is best for me. Paulo.
True.
Coelho. I don't know, man. I'm not smart. Ray says, great show and great discussion as always.
Wow, thanks, Ray.
Always. Thanks, Ray. That's a cool airplane, too.
Yeah, it is.
Laura B watching Twitch. Hello, Laura B. Perception is reality is what someone says when they're trying to gaslight you. That was a interview for a squadron, and the guy's like, he said, I said I was making money off the backs of my bros. I said, what do you mean? He said, you're writing books. I said, yeah, they're fiction. He's like, yeah, but they're homestead. I'm like, yeah, it's called a setting. He's like, well, perception is reality. I said, no, reality is reality. I didn't write a book. How you're making money off the backs of your bros in a fiction story. That guy was such an idiot.
Let's be honest, though. Most people, not most, a significant amount of the American population does not understand what fiction means.
Or nuance.
Right? Because there's plenty of reviews for my books that are like, this couldn't have happened. You're like, no kidding. That's why it's fiction, dumbass. Like, or is it?
Or is it? That's right.
Brian says, closely related, I once told my girlfriend at the time, my job does not define me. My job is rewarding and gives me the money and time to do things I like that do define me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I will say that if you love your job and you enjoy it, that could be your freedom too. Like, right? It's not just sitting around doing nothing. Like your purpose could be your freedom.
It could be. I remember vividly a guy that Gonky and I went to flight school with at Vance. We were talking about the airline industry, and he's very different than me, and I think Gonky would agree. And he was like, he was trying to tell me why my thought process on being an airline pilot.
I already know who it is.
Wrong.
Continue.
Of course you do. and I go, look, man, there's a difference. Like, you are an airline pilot. I fly for an airline. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
And he did not get that, but it's still true. Like, the whole job defined him. Whereas for me, like, it's a job and I do it and I enjoy it when I do it and, all that stuff, but it's just a job. So, yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thank you. Manage says paralysis by analysis is a real thing. Sometimes the best way to start something is just to do it.
Yep. Just go. You're always preparing. Just go. Just go.
Yeah.
It didn't work out for him. That's a terrible example, Gonky.
Well, dude, sometimes it doesn't work out.
A lot of times it doesn't work out.
Come on, man. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Okay. Robert says, turn the phone and the electronics off just one day a week, and that 1 day break would probably help a lot of people.
Tremendously would.
100%.
Yep.
Tom says, 2 great lessons from this show. Make them tell you no, and don't be afraid to say no.
It's a t-shirt.
No.
It's a t-shirt. Marketing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a show. What you guys got? We done?
Thanks, Wombat, dude, for coming on,
sometime.
Man.
What do you think? Around December?
We'll get you next quarter. We'll get your Wombat quota next quarter.
All right. Well, listen. Next time I ask you, you're not allowed to say no.
Oh,
that's not true at
if
all.
that's the way we're literally.
We literally just talked
Well,
about how
no,
you have
dude,
to
if
You
define
can't
things.
say no.
You can say
Set
no.
boundaries.
If you're gonna cry that you're never invited, then you have to show up when you're
That's
invited.
not true at all. That's not true at all.
Look,
I
if
can
there's a
say no.
conflict, we'll just mention we invited Wombat, but he has
Freedom
That's what
only
I need.
extends so far, Wombat.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
There's a leash attached to your freedom.
You're
bro.
free to say no, but you're not free from the consequences.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I love it. And there's some beef.
Thanks for bringing the scrub.
No, dude, it's good to
On
have
to
you,
the
man. It's
show.
always good to have you.
I don't want no scrubs.
Yeah, and thanks everybody for spending another Monday evening with us.
Go
Yeah.
buy
Next-
Wombat's book. Make him a
Yes.
best-selling
Books.
author that
Books.
doesn't books is
Yeah,
don't
I put
make-
his I put it in the description and all
I
the
appreciate
clips and the
that.
videos. Like,
I appreciate
so
it.
so that he
Yeah.
has
It makes a
unlimited
difference.
time. If you buy how many books we think 100,000 books, Wombat can be full time with us.
Yeah. I would do that. That's fair. If you
Manchester.
sell 100,000 books, I will.
boy.
100,000
The-
books.
Yeah.
Wombat.
yeah, Doug,
is
you may
full-time.
be taking a pay cut here in the future. We got to
Uh-oh.
split. We got to split your pay up here.
No more pictures of guns in the group chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I got
Appreciate
tonight.
I'm gonna go study for my
Yeah.
line check now. It's in a
Have
couple
it-
hours.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Make sure your PA includes a link to your books.
I don't do that on purpose. On purpose.
Oh, dude.
He's flown wartime missions in peacetime, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a fact.
Just give him a signed copy, man. Give the check airman a signed copy. Here he goes.
Oh, I'm sure that'll go over
Yeah.
well. Like,
There
do
you
you know
go.
who I am?
To my favorite Czech airman. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Folks.